Hello, everyone. Welcome to DCEU Mania. It's week 2 of 2. I am Captain Logan, and joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host and sidekick, Austin, the Day Ghost. I say as always, he's going to end up missing at least one of these at the end of the week, but he's been here so far for all of these, and I am eternally grateful. Thanks, Austin, for
Yeah, no worries.
sticking with me through the gauntlet of this. Although I have to say, it's actually been pretty enjoyable, even the bad ones, and it has not been quite as grueling and exhausting as I thought it might be.
Yeah, there's been a couple that have just been boring, like to watch for me, but like only two of them have been like really hard to get through.
Yeah, but I feel
So
like we've
that's at
done a
least
decent job of finding a way to make our own fun. It feels a little bit like if we were thrown in a prison cell together sometimes, where it's like we figure out a way to pass the time.
we're like making shivs and stuff.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
doing whatever we can.
Especially while watching Birds of Prey. Can I guess what the two movies were that you found just boring? I
Sure.
Just based on, if I can say it this way, your performance. I feel like the movies that you seemed, and some of it was just like you kind of outright said, I'm bored during this, although I think you said that during more than two. So the ones you most felt that way with, I would say were probably Aquaman and
That's one of them, yeah.
maybe Birds of Prey.
No, Man of Steel.
Oh, that's right. You did go on about how bored you were during Man of Steel. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no. So those are the two that I found just kind of boring. The two that were like hard to sit through. One of them was Birds of Prey, and then
Sure.
the other's Justice League.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of those as the kind of in the same camp, but you're separating them. Yeah, boring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those were the ones where it was like, oh
Difficult to deal
man,
with.
like, can this just end?
Yeah. So we are at the halfway point. I'm somewhat shocked to say, not just because it's crazy that we've already gone through a whole week of this, but because we're late enough in the game that I keep thinking there shouldn't be that many left. There shouldn't be half of them left at this point. We're already into, what, 2021?
2020. So
2020?
last time we
Oh,
were at
that's
the
right.
beginning
This is
of
a COVID
2020. Now we're at
movie.
the end.
This is a COVID
This is
movie.
Christmas.
This yes, and I remember watching this the day the day after or the day it came out on a trip on a laptop. Because I was
Oh, weird.
because of course I liked the first movie. I was kind of excited about this, and obviously I was pretty disappointed with it. But yeah, I watched it on vacation by myself at like 1 in the morning.
hmm Yeah, and this was a big deal on my family at Christmas Day, where it was
Wow.
like tonight we're watching Wonder Woman. It's coming out for like the rental or whatever. We're all gonna watch it together and have a good Christmas. And it was not a good Christmas.
Here they well, and it's somewhat I can't even say ironic because it's a couple of movies ago, but it is kind of odd that this ends up being a Christmas release, not set at Christmas, but just a couple movies ago we had a Christmas movie. We just did Shazam, which
That
was
is
a Christmas
true.
movie.
Yeah, I know, very true. That really should have come out around Christmas.
Yeah, and that's an okay movie, and it might have honestly it might have done a little better at Christmas because it's one of the only honest to God family movies they released.
Yeah, that and like it is like an actual Christmas movie. It might get families that are like enjoying that, like going out, you know.
Right?
I'll
Yeah.
also say I am on like a two movie high now the last 2 days, so now I'm about to break that with Wonder Woman 84.
What do you mean? Just watching stuff you like, or
Yeah, just watching like really good stuff because I haven't watched anything between DC EU Mania, so it was like the weekend cam. I got to watch some different movies. It was like, oh yeah, this is great, and now we're back.
I did not. I haven't watched anything at all since this. I guess for my wife's birthday we watched some Star Trek, but I haven't watched any movies at all.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Well, I mentioned last week that I wanted to see that Life of Czech movie, and now it's gone in the theater. But I ended up having to go out of town for work on Sunday, and it was playing there, so it worked out. I
Oh,
was able to
cool.
just go see it.
That's great. I wanted to go to 28 years later, and I just wasn't able to work it in doing birthday stuff with my wife all weekend. So we're going on vacation next week, and my wife and I might split off a couple times, and I might go out and see it. during that because she doesn't like horror movies, and I'm not the biggest horror movie fan, but I'm really excited about that, especially with the reviews it's getting. Like, I kind of can't wait now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard like the ending is kind of polarizing, but outside of that, like everybody seems to really like that movie all across the board.
that's great because other things I was excited about have gotten really bad reviews, and I've decided to wait on them. So. I'm glad at least something I was really looking forward to. I forget what all of them, or what both. I feel like there were two like this, but one of them is that new Karate Kid movie, and I heard really bad things about it, but I thought the advertising was great. So I was really excited about that, and now I'm hearing nothing but bad things, and I'm like, oh, okay.
When I heard the advertising was like a complete lie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Like, I heard Ralph Macchio's in that movie for like 5 minutes, and they sold
They
it
make
on
it
him.
look like he's. They make it look like it's like a buddy mentor thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I have no idea what that movie is because I've heard that he's barely in it. I've heard that Jackie Chan's like in it a little bit more, but still not in it a ton. So like, what is that movie?
What is
I don't know.
What is it? That's really weird. Right after Cobra Kai too, that you had this legacy thing that's a lot of characters that like that you knew already from that previous franchise. Anyway, let's get into this. Sorry about the long preamble.
Yeah.
So I've been showing the releases of these that I have. So far, I think I've had them all. I was looking earlier. I definitely am missing Shazam 2. I don't know if I'll get that before we do it later in the week. Nobody's gonna care. But anyway, a trend that's been happening because I don't remember what releases I bought for these. I've never looked at them. So the trend that's been going is the ones I care least about have been DVD copies, and this is the ultimate version of that, Austin, because not only is it in a DVD copy, but it's still in the shrink wrap. I haven't even opened it.
I was really hoping you were going to say not only is it a DVD copy, it's a 2-pack.
No, it's not a 2-pack. But I still want that one that you keep talking about with Black Adam and Man of Steel, because that's amazing.
Oh no, it's the greatest thing ever released.
Okay, so Wonder Woman 1984. We're stalling a little bit. I'm not real excited about watching this again, but it's also 2.5 hours long, which is part of the reason I'm not super looking forward to watching this again. I'm curious to see where Austin and I each land on this. I think we might just end up being like completely in agreement. It's possible he dislikes it even more than I do, not liking that first movie and not liking Gal Gadot. But then when you have this great of a fall, when you really like something, you can hate it as much or worse, right? So. And I say hate it, like I didn't hate it first time. I was more baffled and perplexed by choices than anything. And the more I've thought about it, the more irritated I've been about it. The biggest thing is, this is a cartoon and it has no business being any longer than an hour and a half long. That's the biggest thing. And if it was an hour and a half, even people that think it's stupid and don't like villain choices and in story choices and what's done with Chris Pine and all of that, probably would have written it off and just kind of forgotten about it and wouldn't have even hardly have talked about it if it just came out and it felt like a short Saturday morning cartoon. You blink and you miss it, but you're just sitting there forever like it thinks it's a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, well, and I'll say, like, Wonder Woman's a movie I don't like. This is a movie I'm just kind of indifferent on. Like, I don't really feel strongly enough. Because A, it's a sequel to a movie I don't like, so, like, I'm already coming in with that. And then B, like you said, it's just kind of forgettable. Like, it's not something I really even think about. So it's easy for me to just ignore that this movie exists.
Well, that puts you in the same place I was with, like, Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, well, and that's also how I am with those two.
Because you had people who were just like, vitriolic and like really, really upset about Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, I mean, I don't know what you expected, like, because Last Jedi had already lost the plot for me, and so I go into that, and I'm like, I mean, it's weird, I can't be mad. So it makes sense that you're in the same place because I was invested with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, the funniest thing with Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker though is that when we were all angry about Last Jedi, like all those people were like, like whatever, like it's, you're taking it too seriously or whatever, and then they all reacted that hard when the Rise of Skywalker came out, and it was like,
yeah. Well,
But anyways,
because they were invested with that movie. A lot. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouths. I mean, people have different reactions to things, but let's do this. So
yeah,
Wonder
let's go.
Woman, 1984. Get out your DVD or Blu-ray. Make sure to get it out of shrink wrap. Don't forget to do that. Get it to timestamp 0. And if you're watching on a Max like I am, get past the HBO logo, so it'll be more like timestamp 5 seconds in. And away we go. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. We're going to be doing this all week long once again until we finish the entirety of the DCEU. And quick plug, don't forget about tomorrow night, because that'll be the one that the majority of or that I think a lot more people anyway will care about. Tomorrow night we're doing the Snyder Cut, and also later in the week we'll do Flash, and I think we have 2 movies this week that anybody will actually care about, Austin, and those are the 2 that people will probably want to pop in for. Also, if you want to weigh in on those and have your opinion read on camera, patreon.com/geekvolution, the $2 tier lets you answer some questions and ask us a question, and we'll be reading those periodically throughout the show. Not as many for this one, but we did get a few.
Mm-hmm. Also, make sure you have your Wikipedias open so we can all search character arcs during the movie.
Yeah, you said
read
that.
The definition.
You said that before. So
what
does that mean? I don't even understand that.
That was from Wonder Woman 3, where Patty Jenkins apparently emailed the Wikipedia article for character arcs to James Gunn and Peter Safran over like her not being able, like them rejecting her plan for 3.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you were doing a
goofy
joke or if you had like a whole plan or something. I didn't know what was happening.
Oh no, that was just like a whole thing with the making of 3 that didn't go anywhere. But that's just really funny to me that her response was to do that.
Let's go ahead and get started. Then I'm going to ask you about that because I still don't totally understand what you're talking about. Everybody, please press play. Hold on. Sorry, my windows are in weird places here. Everybody, please press play right now. Okay, so she did what with Wikipedia? I'm not understanding this.
So she went to Wikipedia, found the page for character arcs, like that just breaks down what a character arc is, and then sent that to them. Like they don't understand what that is.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, James Gunn famously has never executed a character arc, so he definitely needed that Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I don't get. Okay, so she's just being weird and condescending.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. They didn't understand her art, though.
She's got an even sappier voiceover at the start of this movie, and she's still doing that chuckling thing. I'm really over it by this point. That I didn't mention this, but that jumped out at me when we watched Wonder Woman last week, Austin, where there's this bit at the very beginning in her voiceover where kind of out of nowhere she just starts laughing, and in the subtitles it says chuckles, and she does that again here. Like we've already turned it into a formula.
Mm-hmm. I forgot there was a created by credit in these opening credits. That should be a standard thing in these movies, but it still isn't.
Yeah, but Connor Nielsen's back.
Yeah, he is. Also, Nicholas Bodo wants to know if you're going to do a live unboxing of your DVD.
I mean, I guess I can. We have nothing better. We have 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
Does he mean outside of this? Because I can do it right here. It's a Mania. Brady,
No, I mean like right now.
Right now. Okay, I'll do it here in a minute. Everybody get excited. It's a DVD. Gee, I wonder what's going to be in there. Maybe
so it's going to be a bunch of expired coupons.
I was going to say, maybe we'll get an ad for Papa John's or something. I don't know.
Buy the Wonder Woman cheesy burger. Oh, I forgot Hans Zimmer
did this. Somebody mentioned that last week, and I had forgotten that. Which is so weird because I kept bringing up places where the last movie sounded like Batman Begins.
Oh, true.
And now he's actually here,
to do it.
And it sounds like he's going out of his way to be like as like grand and like period. And by period I mean like 80s period. I know we're not in the 80s yet, but just adventure film.
Hmm.
We'll see
Yeah,
how
for
much
sure.
this movie does sound like a Zimmer score and how much of it is him trying really hard to get outside of his natural sound.
Yeah, I don't even remember the soundtrack to this movie.
I don't write off really either.
I'm guessing it still has the goofy theme.
I don't remember if that's actually in this at all.
Okay, I know it's not in the Snyder cut, but I assumed it was still here.
So this actress for young Diana looks exactly the same, but I would think she would have had to get a little older by now. I mean, they did make this pretty quick.
It could be because there's two young actresses in the first one. There's like the one that's like the fetus Diana, and then like 12-year-old Diana. It could be that younger one,
Well, yeah, but in the face she looks exactly like
the
the
12-year-old
12-year
one.
old. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, even if they were sisters, I don't think she'd look that close.
hmm.
Brady 499 super chat. Happy Monday, guys. Thanks. Happy Monday to you as well. Fun fact: Batman Arkham Knight turns 10 years old today. Crazy.
Yeah, I heard about that. That is cool.
I can't get my mind around that. That's a decade old already. Good
Hmm.
lord. PS4
I
still
was that
feels like a new
crazy?
system to me. Call me old, but it just does. I don't know. So I
Yeah, no, the
remember.
other day I
Sorry.
heard
Good.
like one of the I think it was maybe the Xbox people talking about like the next console generation. It was either them or Sony, I can't remember. And I was like, well, it's way too early to be talking about the next generation.
Way too early. It took 3 years before they started putting games out for their systems.
And even then.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you gonna
There
say?
hasn't been a ton of buzz. But I was gonna bring up something to do with this film, but I mean, we don't have to.
This is just the only one where we never mention the movie. We weren't even talking about it during the preamble.
I sort of want to save that for Aquaman too, but you know. So I remember this opening feeling like it went on for about as long as the PS4 has been out.
Hmm. Well, it has, yeah. At the beginning of this, Arkham Knight had just come out. Now it's the 10-year anniversary.
You know, we're sitting here on Themyscira, and I'm like, put out some games for your system, God.
Put out some games for your film, Patty Jenkins.
And a lot of this is just a little overly over the top, and I'm not sure that I'm getting much out of it beyond just okay, I guess it's supposed to be fun that we're back here again. Like, we spent some time here last movie. I don't know that we're exploring Themyscira enough that it's really worth having a giant flashback opening for this movie.
Well, I'm trying to remember. Like, I think the point of this is just that she ends up cheating by the end or something, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. A lot of this has not stuck with me great, so I'm not going to be able to do a lot of like analysis as we go. That's what the Rewind Commentary Project is for. We'll get there. We'll just kind of re-experience this tonight, of course. But that's what I remember was like. There's some heavy-handed setup for for her character arc, I guess. But like, did it need to be this long? And that's really just this whole movie. Like, did it need to be this long?
Hmm.
And
Which I mean
also,
would be.
it's not doing. Sorry, besides just how kind of over the top it is compared to the first movie, and I mean that mostly just in special effects and stuff. Like the what do you call it? Sorry, Austin, I can't think of words.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really have that. Like so far, I think this movie has worse effects, but I also don't think the first film is very good special effects either.
Sure. Well,
But I.
I'm not even speaking to the quality of it so much as just it feels kind of grander than it needs to. It's like do more of this practically.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
But yeah, I just remember the first time I saw this, I'm like, why does this have to be as big as it is?
The God Killer just got taken out by a bush.
But what I was going to say is, with the obstacle chorus, it feels like that's the word I was looking for, Austin. It feels like they're not meeting the basic tenet of establish the tone of your movie early. So even though I'm complaining that it does feel like it, or at least it did when I first saw it. Like I'm looking at this again. I don't even know if I agree with myself. But what I remember thinking was, it feels a little like over the top over the first movie in the Themyscira stuff, and then. But it also feels like it wants to be more in line tonally with that movie than the rest of the movie will be. And having the Themyscira stuff take as long as it does, we get such massive tonal whiplash when we go to 1984. And you go, oh, wait, it's a Richard Lester Superman movie? Like, you need to open with something absurd if you're going to do that.
I guess we're kind of having a bit of that. Like, she was going down that slide. There's also a little bit of the Wonder Woman theme in the score. But it's like kind of not like overbearing. But I guess there's like a little bit, like there's that bit where she goes down the slide and it's kind of silly, but it's not as far.
Sure, and that's what I'm talking about with over the top things. So like it's a little cartoony in that way, but it's not weird. And here in a little bit, it's gonna get weird. And I just think you don't want to have a 20-minute opening that doesn't have any of that when you're gonna go to the like strange Lester places. Like, I'm surprised she doesn't take off a cellophane S in this movie, or W or something.
Oh, the movie would be way better if she did.
Truth is all there is, Austin. Keep that in mind, because they're not going to tell us that enough times where we'll remember it, and it's not going to stick with us as the main thematic crux of the movie. And yes, it's Wonder Woman, and Truth is a big... Wow, that's a pouty face. And Truth is a big thematic important thing. You got the lasso. That's the... She's about that as much or more than Superman is.
But she's the embodiment of truth. Yeah. But you also don't need Robin Wright to be like, truth is important. You are about truth. To be a true warrior, you must not lie, Diane. Like... you know what I mean?
It's so heavy-handed. It's like, we get it.
Look, there's the gold angel wing armor that she'll get later.
It would be like if you had to... It'd be like if with great power came up in the first 10 minutes of your Spider-Man movie and then we couldn't stop saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that with Spider-Man movies where they don't always handle that real well either because they'll go too far the other way. But I'm just saying it's like that.
It'd be like if the Batman, when he got to Alfred was like, you're all about vengeance, Bruce. You should be about justice. You should have the judgment to be about justice, because being a vigilante is about justice.
Well, one of the best examples, you won't be surprised I'm saying this, is Batman Begins, where the word fear comes up constantly, but I don't feel beat over the head with it. I feel like it's exploring the idea.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So... I didn't know who Pedro Pascal was yet when I saw this, and so my viewing of this is going to be totally colored by now the man is in everything, and people are getting kind of sick of him. That seems to be really trendy lately. Have you noticed this with people complaining that like that guy gets cast for everything now, and hey, there's other actors, and why is everything him? And I don't feel like I was hearing that until Fantastic Four, and then that was the bridge too far. Especially because he's in like multiple movies in the theater this year, and it's like, and he's nobody's pick for Mr. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I heard a bit of that when he was cast as The Last of Us, but more so with Fantastic Four. This is the movie where I go, so I've seen him in a few things before this, and I'm like, oh, Pedro Pascal's a good actor.
Yeah.
And then I see this, and I'm like, oh, he's like awful in this movie. And then this is kind of my first, like, oh, maybe I'm also getting a little tired of Pedro Pascal moment.
Okay, so I wasn't fair. I said 20 minutes. I thought that the Themyscira opening was way longer than it is. It's still longer than it needs to be. what it watches like is that typical thing, right, where you need a big action sequence of your hero in her element, but it almost watches like she's not gonna put the costume on for a really long time, so we gotta like force in a scene. Because am I remembering this right? This is just coming to me. Was that maybe like an added thing, or maybe it was always there? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
No, I'm probably wrong about that. I thought I remembered.
I know we're about
Jenkins...
to get like the actual Wonder Woman introduction in a minute.
Yeah. So like, it's not like it's gonna be a long time before she's in costume. For a second I thought I remembered something where she mentioned they didn't have it for a while and then they added it in, or maybe she thought about cutting it. I can't remember. There was something with that scene where she was a little conflicted about it.
Yeah, it could be. It's been so long since I've looked at anything in this movie.
This is a movie I think about so little, I kind of forgot it existed for a couple of minutes.
No, this is one that I keep forgetting too.
Even right now when we're watching it, I keep forgetting it exists. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god!
But I'm sure I'll find that.
Didn't everyone have a gun in the 80s in America?
I also remember...
That's what Predator 2 taught me.
I also remember having the Bumblebee thing with this, where it felt like they were laying on the 80s nostalgia a little thicker than they needed to. But I don't know if I'm right about that. That's just the experience I remember having. Mm-hmm. Like, looking at the mall here, I can't decide if they're trying too hard or if it's pretty accurate looking. Mm-hmm. I'm on the fence.
I mean, I think it's just kind of over the top, but like that's just part of the movie.
Yeah, and I'm going to try not to repeat this point too much through this, Austin, but that's a choice I want to kind of respect, even if I think it's a little misguided, just because it's kind of fun that she's trying to do something completely different. Like, I'm gonna take the risk to make a completely different movie than I did last time, and the one consistent thing would hopefully be the characterization of her protagonist. And otherwise, even tonally, it can be kind of a different movie. The problem is I'm having a hard time buying it's even in the same world because it's so farcical. So, like, it can be a more comedic tone just by virtue of the kind of story you're wanting to tell. But when, after that last movie, you do a big, like, 80s comedy shot on a guy's face, it's like, no, you've already lost me. Like, I don't feel like I'm even in the same... Like, you went too far just with that shot.
Oh, she does throw her tiara in this movie. I complained about that last week that we never do that. I guess it makes sense if they were ever going to do it, it would be in this one.
It'd be here, yeah. Because this is such a cheeseball movie. Now it's like Xena's chakram. It can bounce off of a million things and still come back to you.
I guess it sucks that only in a cheeseball movie can you do one of her main things. That's about right. Slipmaker says these streams made his week last week, so he's really happy that we're back. Well, thank you.
I don't know if we can keep that up during this commentary, but we'll try.
I remember something here too with her lasso where they get kind of lazy and just stop animating it at a certain point. So I'm gonna watch for that.
And it can be any length they want it to be.
Yeah, I'm more fine with like comic booky things like that though. It doesn't bother me.
You know what? I'm gonna give Zimmer something here. He brought in the theme from Captain Invincible, and he can't know that he did it, but I do really appreciate. Did you notice just how close it got? To da 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 da. Like, it was really similar.
He has been weaving that Wonder Woman theme though, like just into the score and like with different types of instruments.
I haven't noticed that. If you're right about that, I mean, like, there's some rhythmic stuff that is a little similar, but I don't think
he was doing it with some strings when she popped in there.
I didn't notice it, so I don't know if I trust you on this. I would have to go back and listen to it. I didn't notice that. You've said that twice now, and I was listening for it, and I've never heard it. But
both times I've said it like after it happened.
No, I know. But I was listening to it. I was listening for it. I never noticed it, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna I don't mean to not trust you, Austin. I'm surprised I'm not catching it if it's really in there.
Like I said, it is subtle. It is just kind of like dun, 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 dun. I don't know the exact how to do the exact thing, but it's just kind of like
this
that.
is gonna be so exciting. I'm gonna unbox this.
Look, there's elderly at a candy. Oh yes, unbox it.
Oh, I forgot she was even in this.
I think just in that picture.
But I didn't even remember they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. It's gonna be riveting. Let's find out what's in this DVD box. It's probably a DVD, Austin. It's probably only a DVD. Okay, here we go. It's actually out of the shrink wrap now. I can dupe myself into thinking that I've ever put this in a player next time I pull it out for whatever reason. Because I still won't have done that. I'm watching this on HBO Max. This, by the way, has 90 minutes of special features. I don't know if I'll ever look at any of those, but I mean, the movie's 2.5 hours, so I guess there's potential for plenty of stuff they could put on here. There was a sticker that said 90 minutes of special features, but alas, it's gone now because it was on the shrink wrap. Oh, it's a double disc. That's why it has 90 minutes of special features.
Yeah,
okay.
take the discs out so we can see them.
These discs are kind of cool.
Is it just yellow, or is there something on it?
There's something on it, but I've got a little bit of a glare happening here, so I don't know if I can turn it in such a way where you can see it. Here, let me try turning.
Let's see the other side where it's not been used, so there's no scratches.
But, like, it's got the classic W logo on it. It's kind of a cool-looking disc.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Cool.
But what I want, though, is when you open this, you just get...
It's secretly a music box?
Yeah.
There's no coupons in there.
There's no coupons, and then the second disc is blue.
Ah.
So I guess that's kind of cool. I've done it, folks. I did an unboxing. I am really disappointed, though, that there's no outdated coupons.
Mm-hmm. Getting lazy, WB.
So, yeah, that opening mall scene does still feel full-on like she's just aping Lester and aping the silly 80s adventure films for children.
Well, now we're doing amazing, too. Oh, yes, no, my blueprints.
I'm reminded of things like, you ever seen the kid or teen film Cloak and Dagger? Reminded a little bit of that movie, partly because it's partly set in a mall.
Oh, okay.
But tonally, there's some stuff that's already making me think of that. That is sort of a video game movie. If we'd continued Video Game Movie Mania, we would have had to do that. Maybe someday we'll do a condensed version of it like this, though. Brady, $20 super chat. Oh, Michael Bisping says, "Good Lord, this movie is awful."
You are correct. Yeah, earlier Hayden asked me if I like this movie more because he says that I said that once. I think I've only ever said I just don't care as much.
Sometimes
it's kind of equal to me.
When something is just baffling and preposterous enough, you'll enjoy it enough ironically that you'd rather put it in. But I don't know that
I would never say that about this one.
I don't think you actually have that about this.
No.
I think it could have reached those heights. Like that sort of heights, and it just doesn't do that either.
Yeah, if it were more ridiculous, and it was like an hour and a half, maybe.
Again, a lot of it is length. And I don't like some of the things it's derivative of. Like you're saying with Amazing Spider-Man 2, even if that's not intended, like that's all I can think about when I see her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which all goes back to Jim Carrey's Riddler. It's like all the same mold.
That's true. The number 23 is back, folks. Okay, I'm gonna read the super chat. Thank you so much for the support, man. Brady, $20 super chat. WB wanted to cut. Oh, that's what it is. WB wanted to cut one of the opening scenes at the beginning of the movie because they felt having both scenes were making the movie too long, but Patty Jenkins fought for both to stay in, as she didn't want studio interference. That's what I was remembering. Thanks, man.
She
And
sent the Wikipedia article about openings in film to WB.
and for once, the studio execs were right.
Yes.
They should have cut the opening, and then that mall scene should have ended with like a mall cop or someone being like, you stand for truth, Diana. You're all about truth, and that's the most important thing. I'm saying that now because it will be important later, and because there's a lasso wrapped around my feet.
And then Diana's like, "You are no liar. I am about the truth." But we had to have Robin Wright back and Connor Nielsen. I think that's their only scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, Robin Wright, 'cause she's dead at this point. But
Well, I don't think there's even
Connor
another
Nielsen, I think,
flashback
will
or
come back.
anything, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we go back to Themyscira at all.
I don't think we do. And I can kind of see the logic there for just connect tissue and connecting it back to the first film, because besides, Chris Pine, like, how do you do that? Also, he just shouldn't be here, but...
But he was really good in the first one, Cap. He very much does not want to be here in this one. But he was good in the first one.
No, and that's true, but, like, she needs to move on and quit pining for her dead boyfriend from 80 years ago.
You need to stop pining for Pine.
Yes. Stop Chris pining. Dagan Spear, gonna give a hot take. I find this movie engaging more so than most of the DCEU. I think some overreact to the issues they present. Don't find it that cheesy either. I mean, to each his own. I think it's beyond cheesy. And I mean, I can enjoy some cheese, certainly, but ease me into it somehow. It just doesn't feel like we're even in the same universe.
I also just wish Cheetah was the main villain.
Yeah. In almost exactly the same way as moving from, again, I keep mentioning Lester, but like Donner's Superman to Lester's Superman, or even Superman 2 to Superman 3, where it's like there is a little bit of sappy and cheesy in those movies in general, especially because of the period they're made in, and with the corniness of Lex Luthor and stuff. But then you get into just pratfall humor and stuff in 3 that doesn't feel like it belongs.
No, for sure.
And that's that mall scene. Just so much pratfall and overreaction with facial expressions and...
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could do that in like a Sam Raimi kind of way. Like we even talked about that with Shazam. But it's too like wink and naughty, I guess.
But I also think it's weird to do in the middle of your franchise. Like, I could be made... I always say you could make anything work, sure. But, like, there's enough of that in Raimi's Spider-Man from the beginning that I buy it a little bit more there, even though there are still scenes that I think even that goes too far.
Oh, so you just mean, like, mostly because it's a sequel?
Yeah. Just like, are we in the... Is the excuse just, this is what this world is like now this many years later, like it's the... And I think that's part of what I'm resisting, Austin, is it's not just let's make a more exaggerated movie because we want to tell a sillier story and make a comedy. It's like, it's the 80s and we want to make an 80s like family-friendly action movie, and so all the same rules for that kind of thing apply, even though this is a sequel to a different movie. What you're really doing is just making fun of the time period, and I just don't know if that's really appropriate for this material. She's just not winning me over with that idea.
I think the issue, and I was talking to Robert the other day off camera about this, is because we're just talking about like how DC is looking right now versus what it was like 5 years ago. And at this point, there's just no one that's willing to like craft the box that you play in. Like nobody's wanting to say this is what the sandbox is. Trevor's just kind of going, well, this is what I want to do. So I think that's just kind of all it is with this. Is Snyder made the sandbox last time, and does the plot for the first movie. There's none of that, and there's no one willing to say like, okay, this is what we want to do with DC right now. So Patty Jenkins is just like, okay, well, I'll just do whatever I want. And I mean, fair enough. Like, I don't have an issue with that, but this movie sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you're always just looking at a thing that you don't feel like is working and working your way backwards to try to articulate why. And we don't want to be hypocritical because you and I are always saying, and this is what we're liking about the direction Gunn seems to be going with the new universe. We always talk about how we want movie makers to be able to make their own movies and not be stuck in a house style. But you're right about the sandbox thing. If it's all supposed to be in the same universe, and even disregarding that, just it's a studio that's making kind of a particular kind of product. It's got to be able to do both. It's got to be able to make a bunch of different kinds of movies, and there's also got to be a sense of what the overall product is, and that can be pretty broad. But I mean, if the overall product is we're making interesting, thoughtful superhero movies that can all fit in the same world, but we're brushing with kind of a wide brush. That's cool. But the problem is this started really narrow. This started with, we're going to make these really super serious, like deep-feeling movies that are hard-edged and not necessarily for everyone, even though I think they kind of pretended like they were. And then very quickly it degenerated into throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I think that's the difference between making a lot of different kinds of movies for different people that all feel like they could live in the same world versus just trying random crap and seeing what sticks. I don't think those are the same thing.
Mm-hmm. No, fair enough.
I just wanted to say that so that you didn't look like a giant hypocrite, Austin, because you have, like, I'm not even arguing with you. I'm trying to refine your point because I feel like you have many times in the past said you don't want things to be too samey, but then you're also saying like what's the sandbox, and I just wanted to kind of I wanted to elaborate with that. Because
like I said, I don't think there's an issue that Patty Jenkins like that. I think it's with that with this movie. I don't like her vision. I didn't like it in the first one either. So like that's an issue. I'm just saying like in terms of your this is a sequel. Like this is more a soft reboot than anything. No, because like when I said that nobody's making the sandbox, that's why this was allowed to get made. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that Patty Jenkins could do whatever she wanted. It's just that she didn't do a good job on top of that, which in a way makes it like kind of worse. It's like you have all the freedom, and this is what you made.
Yeah. And then it becomes really in line with the DCEU in general in just counterintuitive and the last thing you would expect. And that's part of
Braden Atkinson. Oh,
that's part of what frustrates. Sorry, I'll get into that in a second. Part of what frustrates me about it after that first movie is, and we can agree to disagree on this, Austin, but that was the first of these that didn't feel completely counterintuitive to me. And then you get to this, and we're right back to what and and how. And like you go with a weird magic artifact plot for your Wonder Woman movie.
When doing a magical artifact plot is fine. Like you're dealing with like mythology and whatnot with Wonder Woman.
But just the type they went with and the real typical MacGuffin thing and.
Well, it's like the Marvels where like it feels like just no one's favorite episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
And that's the movie we made.
Yeah, how's this the event that's worth throwing millions of dollars at it? Which isn't to say that every movie that costs a lot of money has to feel like a huge event, but it's got to be memorable and stick with it. It's sort of like that X-Files I Want to Believe movie where it's like that felt like uh one of the weaker of 24 episodes of a season, and you're like, how did it's been so long since we've had X-Files? How was that the thing that went to the theater that year? So yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would not have Maxwell Lord as the main villain. I wouldn't have done the Dreamstone thing. Just those are the two big things that I feel like are really bizarre choices for this movie.
Yeah, when I said magical artifact, I just mean like Saturday morning cartoon kind of artifact. Like what it does, it's what's weird to me.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it's weird structurally that Cheetah is as much of the focus of this movie as she is when she's basically just the heavy for the structure. Like, it ultimately just kind of feels like a waste of time, which is unfortunate because she's, one of the three big Wonder Woman villains.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, she's all you needed for this. Like Patty Jenkins is falling into that trap of it's the sequel, so you got to have two villains. And I mean, I guess at least they meet real early, and the team up isn't the same kind of awkward thing it is in a lot of other movies, but it's awkward in different ways if memory serves. And he's also gonna get real heavy-handed and speechy, just like Ares did. I remember that.
Yeah, what's kind of funny because this movie tries to do the ending that they didn't do with Ares from that Prez origin, but it does not work out.
Oh.
That's one thing I do remember.
Brady,
at least I think, anyways.
Super chat. Fun fact: this film is Hans Zimmer's 8th comic superhero film score, starting from Batman Begins and ending with Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, well, it's appropriate that after this he said, "I'm done with those."
So, what are the 8 just offhand? So it's obviously the Dark Knight trilogy, so that's 3. You have Amazing 2, Man of Steel. He doesn't do BVS.
He does Lone
or does
Ranger,
he do?
If that
Oh,
counts.
yes, Lone Ranger. Okay, I wasn't thinking of that. Okay, that's 6.
Now, he said comic superhero, so I don't know if he's counting Lone Ranger. He might not be.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I feel like he did something more
Dark
recently,
Phoenix,
too.
says Dan's Den.
He did Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, I didn't
That's
remember
bizarre.
That. Meanwhile, the X-Mansion. Look at this place.
Okay, so we're just missing one.
Tyler Zayas, Maxwell Lord is such an odd choice. He could have been Veronica Cale. I mean,
yeah,
he could have been like either just do Cheetah or replace him with any other major member of the Rogues Gallery, given that Maxwell Lord isn't even always a bad guy, I don't think.
Well, that was a retcon that like people were mad about at the time.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think is that Identity Crisis? It's either that or Infinite Crisis. I forget which one. But like one of them retcons him to be a villain.
Oh, okay.
And
because
like
there's
a
precedent
polarizing
for this.
choice.
I think like this isn't even the first time in live action he is a villain, because I think Supergirl does it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Somebody tell me if I'm wrong about that. I might be thinking of a different character, but I thought they did it too.
Well, and that was something I know Gunn mentioned when he cast his brother as Maxwell Lord. I did say, like, is that one? I don't think it is.
It is.
So
it is.
I didn't count it. Okay, so that's all right.
We talked about that when we did the commentary last week, because it was him and Junkie XL get the credit together.
Okay. See, I always just think of that movie as Junkie XL.
No, his main contribution was the Wonder Woman theme. Like,
okay.
Infinite Crisis. Yeah, I didn't even remember that. I mean, I've read that, but it was probably over my head that was a retcon there.
No, I think he's morally ambiguous before that.
Well, there's probably a whole generation now.
Really, the moment where he's
known him as a villain. I'm sorry, Austin. I talked over you, man.
No, it's okay. I just said, I think he's a bit morally ambiguous before then, but he's not like straight up a villain. He's the guy that runs the JLI. But like I said, I know that was a big thing Gunn mentioned when he cast his brother as Maxwell Lord. He was like, making Maxwell Lord a villain was a mistake.
He's going to try to teach people about like classic comic characters while going against things they've seen before. And so they're going to be like, hey, that's not what that character is supposed to be like.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Maxwell Lord is Sean Gunn and not 80s Trump? This is not the right character. Arg.
And this is also like the way Maxwell Lord is handled in this is very Richard Lester because he feels like a character that could have been in Superman 3.
Mhm.
Like I think about Superman 2 a lot when we're talking about this, but you almost got to look at 3 more.
Yeah. Oh, Tyler says it was Countdown to Infinite Crisis, not the actual event. I think
Okay.
it's the actual event where she kills him, though. I think, isn't it? Or am I wrong about that? Because I know after he becomes a villain, Wonder Woman breaks his neck.
The scene is weird.
My son's so sad.
But yeah, so he's
I have a
con
son.
man
That
that's
means
just
it's okay
desperate.
for me to wish for the world to suck.
So he's just a con man desperate for everyone to take him seriously. And he's a loser, and everything is just so like obviously spelled out and on the nose. So like seconds after we make it really clear that this guy is really insecure and is like clearly a loser that's desperate for people to take him seriously, he has to come out and say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's got to call somebody else a loser so that he doesn't feel that way, and it's just too blatant script writing. In exactly the same
Leo
way
says,
as using the word truth 100 times in the opening was.
Yeah, exactly. And both are being delivered to a child. So it parallels. Leo says that it's an unpopular opinion, or might be, but he likes the Ottman score for Superman Returns more than Man of Steel. How do you feel about the Ottman score of Returns? Because I actually don't remember it offhand, and I know you're a fan of Ottman.
I am a fan of Ottman in the X-Men movies. I thought his score for Returns was kind of uninspired and not real memorable. Like, it's fine,
Okay, fair enough.
but he's just there because that director is there. And I don't remember thinking that he had any great ideas in it. But I haven't gone back to that in a long time either. And
Oh,
like,
that's
he
right,
and Singer
Captain.
worked
It's all
great
coming back to
together.
me now.
So, it could have been great.
They say, what's that? Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, people are like kind of filling in my memory because it's been a while, but they retconned that like he was always a villain, and then he kills Ted Kord, and then it gets retconned later on in Brightest Day that he was good, but then he became evil.
Okay. I don't know. It's like we don't have enough corporate evil moguls in DC. You got to take one that was fine and like make him terrible. I don't know. You can't just make up a new character that does that. Like nobody would have complained if it was just some new guy. Like why does that have to be somebody that was there already?
Because then it's a twist.
Tobin Belpons is back. $1.99 super chat. This movie sucks sometimes.
He has spoken.
Yeah, well, it used to just be all or nothing, and now he's getting a little bit complex in his verdicts, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Exactly.
There's
Get a little
layers
wishy-washy.
now. I love Tobin, man. Every time he comes in, it's like we don't have to do our jobs anymore. He is spoken.
Exactly. It's over. He has spoken.
Yeah. Okay, well I guess he's got a lot of power. Did he get the MacGuffin from this movie? Like he's got a lot of power.
Well, Candotor says Tobin has spoken with nuance.
With nuance. That's great. All caps.
Except for with. which makes it even funnier.
So, Austin, it pains me to say this,
Yes.
but after the commentary you and I had a couple weeks ago on Batman Forever, this movie is rougher because, and I guess this isn't even really saying anything about Batman Forever, but like, that's the thing that I'm finding this to be like most derivative of. I just keep seeing so much of that in this, and that movie is feeling more and more. I guess retroactively, just like formulaic and cookie cutter. And as I said when we did that commentary, like that's a movie I have a lot of nostalgia for and that I put in the background a lot. But like I haven't just sat down and like really thought about it in a long time. And like, yeah, it doesn't hold together as well as I want it to. But yeah, she is like the Riddler through and through, and not just in part of the way she's playing it, but also like, character motivation stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we specifically cast a comedian.
Yeah.
And Kristen Wiig's someone I'm more kind of mixed on. Like I think she can be a good actress, but a lot of the times when we do like comedic stuff with her, I find they just make her like annoying for the sake of it.
Well,
which I don't typically find funny, but that's not an issue with her here. I'm just talking about in general.
Well, one thing I'll give her in this though is that when Jim Carrey turns into the Riddler, he's straight up doing his standard Jim Carrey thing from front to back, but like she's
doing something different here.
Well, what I was going to say is he's not really menacing, and she's at least trying to be. Whether she's successful about it or not, she gets real serious when she turns. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of at least respect her for that. Like, I feel like she's taking the role seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't love the choices and what's being done with it. And she's turning on that awkward, nerdy thing that also you had, like we said earlier, with Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it is kind of more the Electro performance, because he gets real serious when he turns also. But it all starts in that Batman Forever place, and she's reminding me even more of that character because of how insecure she is at the start, and how I guess Electro has that too, but she's got more of that. Well, I guess they all have that hero worship thing. No, they're all that same character. Yeah, no, they're all just that character, and they're all kind of excited.
Well, Electro was also introduced dropping his blueprints, and Minerva's introduced dropping her paper.
Well, and Edward Nygma is introduced trying to explain his box to Bruce Wayne. Like, it's all real similar. He's not handing him anything, but it's still like, I have this idea.
Look at this extremely happy moment.
And then here in a little bit is when the movie is just going to get, like, ethically offensive, and needlessly so. And
I mean, it's already kind of there.
And I cannot deal with it. Yeah, but it's going to really get icky.
Oh no, we definitely cross the line.
And that's the main thing I remember from this, is that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dagon Spear, I think the difference is that there's more emotional depth to the villains than Batman Forever. Yeah, I mean, technically, that's also not hard.
But it also has like a full hour.
But again, the difference is, I feel like that movie does a much better job of establishing its tone at the start, and it's really easy for me to not look at it, much more soft rebooty in the first place, and not so much as a sequel. So I don't even mind it as much as I am with this, with the whole, am I buying this as in the same universe thing? That's just me.
Yeah, for sure.
Brady 49 Super Chat. Thanks. Emma Stone was approached for the role of Cheetah, but turned it down. Not sure why. Maybe she didn't like the script. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that's. I can see that casting. That's not bad. Yeah, I'm gonna guess she probably looked at the script and was like, "What?" And then Patty Jenkins went, "Oh, okay, you just don't understand here," and then sent her the Wikipedia article of character arc.
Well, and it would have drawn even more comparisons to Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's true
Like,
too.
it would
Yeah.
have been really strange if she was in this, considering I'm already thinking so much about that movie. And not just in the Electro thing, but also just how much tonal whiplash there is in the comedy direction.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, no, you do have
the
that.
wacky action and
It's a lot brighter now.
yeah, yeah, all of that. And I don't think the first Wonder Woman movie is too self serious like Amazing arguably is, at least in places. Uh,
And
but I but I do think, and also that's a movie that can get like comic book silly in places like we talked about with Doctor Poison and that kind of stuff. But more integrated in that as a period piece. I don't know. Maybe what she's thinking is we've got an exaggerated World War One era, and now we're gonna have an exaggerated '80s era, and what they have in common is that they're both like the pop culture version of what people think of when they think of those periods. And the problem for me is I don't think her World War One era is as over the top as her '80s era is, respectively. And also, that felt pulpy and comic booky in places, and like that was the 1920s she was doing. This doesn't have that. The problem is that was more about, in my mind anyway, that was more about comics, and this is more about movies, and they're just not gelling. Like, there's so much more homage in this to real specific things. That first movie, yeah, she's doing some Donner stuff. But here it's like she wants to do, it's almost like she was bored, so now she's got to make this a completely different kind of thing. And like I said before, I almost want to applaud her for going in a different direction and trying something, but it doesn't work if it's just straight up homage. Which is just like seeing, okay, can I make an '80s period movie, like period comedy set in the '80s? That first movie wasn't, can I make a World War One movie that's like movies we had in World War One? It's a little weird to do that with your sequel. I think that's what I was trying to articulate earlier, Austin.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess it's hard.
That's what makes it so weird to me, is that you're doing in a period homage, trying to make a movie that looks like it came out in that period as a sequel.
I guess it's hard, because with like 1918, like you'd have to like really go back to like silent film stuff. So, like it's kind of harder to do that,
No,
I
I know,
guess,
but
for like
that's
this kind of big mainstream
but
thing.
that's why it's strange that that's even the thought you'd have in your sequel.
And this is where he becomes a stone because he wished to become the stone.
As you do. Is he gonna need the stone to destroy himself?
Yes.
Dagon Spear, but isn't the '80s arguably seen more over the top than World War One era? Yes, but again, I don't know. I don't want to harp on this point too much because I haven't thought about this movie in so long. Like, this is just what's coming back to me, going back to it. It's just weird because to me, because it feels like, yeah, we'll talk about this. It's just weird to me because it feels like it's wanting to be, the way it's being over the top is trying to be movies of the period that's coming out. I just think that's weird to do after your World War One period movie. That's all. And also, I wouldn't be saying that if she made me buy it somehow. Like, maybe she could have done that. I also just don't think it's a very good script.
I mean, I guess the difference I have in that is that you have stuff like the over-the-top Germans in World War One, so you have things like that where like I don't have the big jump that you do going into this one, where to me I'm like, oh yeah, that's just a sequel to Wonder Woman. And then some of the aspects are dialed up more, but like they feel much more of a piece to me. But I also don't like either of them, so it's like I'm kind of seeing what I don't like in both.
He says, I don't think this movie is a comedy either. I think only the opening robbery is much comedy. Yeah, I'm just not with you on that at all.
There's definitely some goofy stuff.
It's got a real jokey tone overall. And even in the problem is, and this is a lot of why this movie doesn't work for me, Austin, is it also seems overly comedic in places where I'm not convinced it's trying to be.
We're just unintentionally funny in places.
And then it can, yeah, or unintentionally irritating. But like, this is going to be such a convoluted point. But like, kind of in line with the comedy that it's been doing. It's just not funny to me. But I also don't know if it wants to be funny, so it's super awkward.
They should have had one of those muscle guys in the background go, "Whoa, he lifted that like some sort of cheetah." That should have been our name drop.
And we're just doing all the... Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that. And we've got all the cliches, because you've got to have the aerobic stuff, because it's the 80s. I'm also not always sure where the line is with that kind of stuff. And I was kind of mentioning that earlier. Where when is it too cliche and like too nostalgia grab, and when is it just like what was there at that time, so of course it's here? And that's hard for me to articulate. It's just sometimes I buy it and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I think there's been so much of that it's not hitting me like, oh, this is on like the upper echelon of it. It also helps that we're not doing 8 million needle drops.
That does help a lot. By this point, I like when this came out, I was getting pretty hypersensitive to it.
Yeah, because it was like by this point, I think a lot of us were just getting tired of it.
Yeah, well, and again, Bumblebee had just come out the year before, or a couple years before.
2 years.
Brandon Atkinson, does this movie ever mention the Cold War? The Cold War, because it's not part of the plot, is a really strange choice. I mean, I think it's odd to have a movie called 1984 and none of the themes from 1984 are really present.
We see Maxwell Lord is like a big brother.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess by definition he'd be creating a fascist dystopia, but I don't think it's really...
You're also forgetting the biggest thing, though, from 1984, which is when Winston Smith has the big fight with the cat lady. That's like a really important scene in that book, Cap. Don't you remember?
Hey, look, it's been a while, okay? I haven't read that in a long time.
When Winston Smith is like, wow, some sort of cheetah is fighting me. She's trying to tell me that 2 + 2 = 5, but I say no, cheetah lady.
But yeah, I don't remember if there's any Cold War stuff in this at all. There might be something in that long speech at the end where he's talking about like all the things in the world that I can't remember it anymore.
Well, we go to like the Middle East, so you like have
that's right,
some stuff with that, but I think it's about it. Which is funny because obviously being the 80s, the Prez origin is taking place around this time, and the Cold War is kind of the World War I stand-in from that movie, where it's like, look at these things that are powering Ares right now.
So this is awkward, where it's like because you don't even look like we're seeing you right now because you're in somebody else's body. So you're trying on all this fashion to decide if it looks good with you, but your face isn't your face, so...
Well, that's for us, so that we can enjoy Chris Pine's great performance now. And look, now he gets to do some of the funny reacting things.
Yeah, see, they flipped it, because she was the fish out of water last movie, and now she's been... living
now he gets to be stupid
about things. So she knows what the 80s is like. And again, these are ideas that I'm making fun of just because I don't think they work in this movie. You you could have maybe done that. I That's a hard
So
sell for
that's
me because it's just kind of the obvious comedic thing to do. Um, but if you came up with a better reason to get him here, sure. And then you just have the tragedy at the end of he can't stick around, which is sort of an idea I like on paper if you have to have him here. But the big thing that just ruins all of it and makes it super awkward is I all you had to do is contrive something with the stone, which is not hard at all. It's magic. You can do whatever you want it to. That he just comes back through whole cloth, and we don't have to use some other person as the vessel for him that's being violated through the entire movie. And so now she's slept with this guy who didn't give consent and doesn't even know this is happening. And I'm spending the whole movie distracted by that. In this, I think, in apologies to Dagenspear, this kind of farce that doesn't want me to even take it that seriously until it starts to get really heavy-handed with its morality toward the end.
Well, you have a wish stone. Just have it be that she wishes for him, and then just he appears. Why does
That's
it have
all
to
you
be
had
this
to
weird
do.
rape element?
That's what I'm saying. Is it seems even built into what
They
it
went like
does.
out of their way to make it awkward.
Yeah. No, they made it convoluted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always been my biggest issue with bringing Steve back is they did it, and they did it in the weirdest way possible. He's like, wow, look at all these cool new things that fly that I could crash.
Do you think Patty Jenkins is overthinking it? Where she goes, well, if he comes back and he looks like Chris Pine, there's all these questions. So it has to look like someone else. Is that what she's thinking?
So I'm going to hit you with the most annoying possible answer with it, which is I think she's overthinking it and underthinking it simultaneously.
Uh-huh. Bob's left. I'm not gonna read his whole name. I couldn't even finish this film. It was trash. I didn't see it until I started reading it, and I was like, sorry, I can't read that on camera. Brady, welcome. It's a name I don't recognize. Thanks for being here. Brady, $10 super chat. Patty Jenkins should have hired better writers and do a page one rewrite to expand on the characters and make the story better. I don't think Jeff Johns was the right guy to help write this film. And I didn't know if he was involved with this or not, because I thought he was fired by this point.
No, I actually forgot until he mentioned that. Yeah, they co-write this movie. I completely forgot about that.
I didn't remember that.
And I agree. I don't think Jeff Johns is the best at writing Wonder Woman from the get-go.
Just in general?
So, just in general.
Well, isn't it odd? And again, you and I disagree on that first movie to some degree, although I'm getting your complaints about it. I still like it more than you do. But it's ironic to me that, again, this is just me talking, that movie, like, it leans into the Greek mythology. It's not too afraid of Wonder Woman's roots, even if it doesn't go far enough with her roots. And then this movie has that, like, 70s and 80s Wonder Woman problem of we don't know what to do with this character. Like, doesn't this feel like that really awkward period, pre-90s? With Wonder Woman, where it's like, because it's the 80s, we also have to do that with it, where it's like the Denny O'Neil stuff, where it's like we just don't even know what to do with this character.
Yeah, they should have had her work at Taco Bell.
Well,
yeah, I mean that is a big part of it, is they're trying to harken back to the 70s show as opposed to like Wonder Woman comics.
Yeah, and I kind of get that because popularly that's the thing that more people would have known with this character, just like with Incredible Hulk. Like, I get why those first couple Hulk movies I couldn't get away from that show, and it worked okay for those. But with this, it's like, can you do the cornier tone of that right after you do a more serious period thing? And then that's another place where we're right back to Batman Forever, where it's like we're just inching ever closer to the sillier cornball TV thing that was the mainstream thing in the first place that we got away from in the first movie. It's actually really weird that this immediately goes to that 90s Batman trajectory. I'd never really thought about that before. Because I'm always thinking about the later Superman movies with this, but it also is doing that Batman thing.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Batman and Superman have similar trajectories too, so like it's easy to look at it in a similar way.
No, that's true, but with Superman, it's not that it degenerates into the cornball thing it used to be. It just degenerates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's weird about this with Batman.
Difference.
Is that with Batman, it's like it starts getting too influenced by a sillier version.
Mm-hmm. If only this was full of neon lights.
But arguably, the Wonder Woman TV show, at least by the point this movie comes out, is not as remembered in general as 60s Batman. And so it is odd that it's the influence that it is. Like, again, to some degree, I get why she would be looking at it. Like to some degree. But also, 60s Batman kind of stuck in the zeitgeist more than that did. I don't know very many people that have ever seen it.
I just don't know that should be your starting place.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, do the spin, that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Do stuff like that. Have her be held hostage by a gorilla, like that's fun. But outside of that,
what I'm fine with finding some way to get to the jet. Like, that's one of the only things everybody knows about Wonder Woman. She's got an invisible jet. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's also weird not to have it more connected somehow to Themyscira.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with it not being that, but like, I just remember just kind of feeling like, oh, now here's the invisible jet.
Well, again, I'm always just reacting to like the way they did it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's one of the most lazy hand wave things I've seen in anything. It's like, oh, and by the way, there's this thing I learned how to do once, and I don't know if it's gonna work at all, but if I just like touch this thing and think really hard, I might be able to make it invisible. Let's try that. I'm like, really?
Oh my god, I forgot that's how they did it. Yeah, that's how they did it. Never mind. I'm with you. Okay, I forgot about that.
And I'm like, well, if you're gonna do that, just find some way to link it from the beginning to Themyscira.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's so dumb.
We're also at the section now of the film where she's just gonna run around asking people where the stone is.
Okay, we get it. She's still talking about how important truth is, Austin.
I wish she took the Michael Keaton route and cut 90% of her dialogue.
She goes, Gal Gadot comes in and she goes, okay, look, everything I've ever learned about being a superhero, I want to come from Michael Keaton. So I want to be monosyllabic and I want to be totally walled off from the audience. And B, I want a Wonder Woman costume where I can't move my neck.
No, it's like Chris Pine wakes up in the morning, he looks, and Diana's sleeping in the shape of a W.
Is she sleeping or exercising? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
That's so good.
She's in the shape of a W now.
Discussing topics. Wonder Woman Season 1 is fun. 2 and 3 are generic cop shows, but with crazy villains. I've only seen the pilot and then the very next episode, and I really liked the first episode and kind of wish the whole show had been that way.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen one episode. I need to watch more of that.
Because you know about that, Austin? The pilot is also period. I can't remember if it's World War II or before, but I think it's World War II. And then it immediately skips ahead, and the guy who plays Steve Trevor then plays his son.
Oh, okay, weird. I didn't know that.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think the first episode is the one that I saw. Like, I think I just saw like an episode on TV. So it's just like a random episode.
We've got a $20 super chat from Mick Gamagle, which is a name I don't recognize. Welcome, and he says, and thanks a ton for the for the big support. He says before I read this that he had typos because he was typing on his phone very hurriedly. But he says, slightly off topic, but one of your critiques in the first film was World War One Germany's being too Nazi-esque. Yes, Austin was bringing that up. However, the German general Diana wants to kill is Erich Ludendorff. In real life, he was one of the three first Nazis.
Ah, very good.
Austin, that's the best
It is
argument.
still just kind of German.
That is the best argument I've heard against your complaint with that. That is just to be fair, that's a solid argument.
He's not there to then make the Nazis killed before then.
History should be completely different now.
That's why we don't have Diana talking about if she should be in World War II. There is no World War II in this universe.
I remember this was in the trailer. Just like the delightful look on his face when they're about to take off in this plane. Because, like, look, there's going to be so much wonderful and wonder and fun spectacle in this film. One thing I feel like I have to give the DCEU is much of the time they cut trailers that make their bad movies look way better than they ought to be able to make them look. And they duped me way too many times. But in my defense, I liked the first movie with this, and it's the same director. So even if I thought, some of the choices were maybe odd from the beginning, there was a chance it would be great. I also didn't go into this expecting to not like it. I
remember you were really dejected when you first saw it.
Well, I was, because this could I thought it was a fun period to go to. Oh, here she goes. How do I make something invisible?
She's making a ball with her
I've only
ego
tried
powers.
it once. I did it with a coffee cup, but now I'm going to do it with a whole plane. And this is the big thing that makes me go, you exaggerate her accent so much. And
it is also weird when she's just sitting there and just starts going. There's waves in between.
So this is gonna sound like I'm picking a fight with you, and what I'm about to say is not at all fair. But I was thinking this during the Wonder Woman commentary, and I didn't say it, so I'm gonna say it now. I cannot decide how much. This is gonna be so unfair to say. I cannot decide sometimes if the issue is really that you think she's that bad of an actress, or if it's just you don't like that accent.
No, I think she's just an abysmal actress. It has nothing to do with her accent. People have said that to me, where they're like, you just don't like that she has a thick accent. No, that's not it. She has a thick accent and is a bad actress on top of it.
And then you'll complain about the fact that the Amazons had to do her accent. And
no, but that is because they shouldn't have Israeli accents. They're all Greek.
Yeah.
That's where I'm I don't really like that as a choice, but
and to be fair,
I'm
with you on that. But just these are all evidence that maybe the issue was more the accent to you than the performance.
No, that and I think they're 50-50 on how well they imitate her accent. But no, she's an abysmal actress and has a thick accent. These are two different things.
I agree. Although I think Robin Wright does a good job with it.
Yeah, like I said, it depends on the person that is doing it. Some can do it well, some can't.
Yeah, this was a big money shot for the trailer.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And
Nicholas Bodo says I make her sound like Tommy Wiseau.
You do.
I mean, I don't see them as being far off, so that's fair.
And again, I would buy the sad tragedy of his coming back and getting to experience the world one last time and then having to go back to dust, if only, like we were saying earlier, he was just poofed into existence and wasn't in somebody else's body right now. Because I meant to say this earlier, but I can't help but go to this place with a thing like this, Austin. nobody that I heard really complained about this, like outside of our community. Like there were some people that agreed with me, certainly when we initially reviewed this, about how icky the whole like host body is.
Mhm.
If you reverse the genders, the whole world would have lost its collective mind.
Oh, but that's always the way. That's always the way with that kind of a thing.
But I mean, it's real messed up with this.
No, I've been complaining
Like
about that a lot
if
this
she was a
year.
male protagonist and and he brought back his old girlfriend and she's in a new girl's body and they sleep together and we're not supposed to think about it, like I don't know, like people would have tried to cancel this movie all day long.
Yeah, I've been complaining about that a lot this year. With there's been a lot of news stories that I've seen of like teachers sleeping with students. That is like a female teacher, male student, and it hasn't really gotten the attention that it usually gets when it's the other way around. And whenever that happens, you always get the people that are like, ah, "Cool, I wish he was my teacher when I was in school." And it's
Yeah,
like,
and like
no,
it's
like, this,
still a problem.
it's still an
It's
issue.
not
Like this is
okay.
like, yeah, yeah, exactly.
I won't stay on this. As I always say, I don't want to
Yeah,
get too political, but I do think. I mean,
there's a double standard though. I
it's a
think it's
double
fair to admit
standard.
that.
It's a yeah. Am I within my rights to bring this up? I don't think that's okay. Leo, don't get me wrong. This is dumb, but it's still better than the Magic Kiss.
Wonder Woman raping a man,
No, I think she's
or
talking
like,
about the invisible jet thing, probably.
oh, okay. I don't know. Both are dumb. They're in the same league.
RJ Gonzalez, I want to read this because I think more people have this than not. Austin. The thick accent is what makes her interesting. I don't know what accent she has. The Israeli accent, to be fair, in the you know, like around America, like in Western countries, uh, not real well known. Like
Hmm.
when I first heard her speak, I didn't know where she was from. And so you're right.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
it ain't Greek,
Mhm.
like for sure, but it always sounded kind of ambiguous to me.
Mhm. So now here's evil Constantine again. This is the exact thing, like almost the exact thing that you were describing. You and Robert were describing as being happy wasn't in the first movie. This Constantine guy that keeps trying to touch up Barbara.
I'm sorry, I missed some of what you were talking about. What was that about
I
Constantine?
just Well, I just said this guy. He's wearing the costume, so I just said that he is Constantine. He's the
Oh.
DCEU version.
I got you.
Um,
Sorry. I thought you were bringing up
that's
something
okay.
that we did with John Constantine in the comics with
Oh,
Minerva, and I was like, what are we talking about?
no. Then after that, I was just saying this. The two scenes, because this guy was in a scene earlier. They're both exactly what you and Robert were describing as being happy wasn't in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, this guy is just, haha, I'm gonna touch you up, Barbara.
So you know what we've done with her? Yeah. No, thanks for bringing that up because it was so thoughtful about uh like 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 gender issues in the first movie and didn't seem disingenuous about that.
Mhm. Well, it's also especially weird in a movie where again Diana like rapes a man. That we
Yeah.
do have an example of that double standard in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I have to put in the disclaimer and say I'm not saying that you can't deal with that issue in a movie or even a superhero movie because of course it happens. It just like even forgetting the double standard with this, it's just night and day to me in the maturity of it versus the first movie.
Adam March brings up a good point, which is that the problem with Wonder Woman in this film is just the hypocrisy.
It's just that's the biggest issue.
That's the biggest issue. Not the scheming, the lying, the
I
planning.
But we were talking about how Minerva is the Riddler and how she is Electro, but I forgot about that scene. She's a mix of that and Catwoman
Infinite
from Batman
Isle.
Returns.
Yeah. Maxwell Lord should have thrown her out a window.
And I've talked about this before, but that felt kind of forced and dated even in 1992 to me. The whole like, oh, how dare you? I'm a woman, and I'm like, why are we laying all this on, this thing? And that was in '92, where arguably we weren't even as progressive as we got a few years after that, but like more so than I thought that movie was pretending like we were.
You know what that movie has over this, though? That scene happens, and then Batman throws acid at her.
That's true.
If Diana just threw acid into Barbara's face, this would be a better movie.
No, that's true. Then it feels more equal opportunity at that point. Okay, great.
Exactly.
You don't understand. She's a model. That makes it okay for her to break the law.
Exactly. She's a cat lady.
Nicholas Bodo, so more lighthearted Catwoman from Batman Returns. I mean, arguably not much more lighthearted. Like she starts off that way, more that way, sort of. Although both of those characters even are, I don't want to say eccentric, but like antisocial and off-putting and odd, right? And just not very confident and very secretary types. And then
Yeah.
they gain their confidence, and they get, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like once they get their I still say powers, even with Catwoman.
We're also missing one of the biggest pieces of her ingredients, though, with Cheetah in this movie, which is Abomination and the Incredible Hulk. Where you have the whole they want to be strong like the main hero, and throughout this movie she's going to like continue to get more and more powerful and more like Diana, and then by the end will become too much and becomes like a monster out of it.
Right.
You see, we're getting it a bit here. The bam, 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 bam. Well, I think we're just doing it with strings. Like it's not as over the top.
Well, again, it's not, but it can't be as over the top because we're not going even full on into the melody. It's never gone to the melody. It's just the it's just the start of it, and I'm just not even 100% convinced he's even looking at that. It's so close to stuff Zimmer's done and other things. So yeah, like
It's got to be though. Like it is that exact beat. And we keep doing it.
yeah.
Here's the most ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, and then there
shot.
it is. So no, you're right. He is doing that. But we hadn't gotten the actual melody yet. And I thought you were saying that was there. And like now we have that. So yes, he was doing that the whole time, but I wasn't convinced of it yet.
Yeah. No, he's always been doing that. Bam,
Right,
bam,
I
bam,
get that.
Ba-dam. Yeah. And we're also in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But that's such a simple rhythm that's so close to other Zimmer things. That's why I wasn't totally sure about it.
Mm-hmm. No, fair enough.
Yeah, it's really silly that he's even trying to integrate that. I should have remembered that was there, because I remember kind of eye-rolling that in the theater. It was like, of course we attempted this. All right. Because you remember, I said it sounds really dumb, like in an orchestral score when we tried it in Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going even further with it here, because we're making it the main, like, I don't know, like audio set piece for the scene. You put this up against that amazing Lone Ranger thing at the end of that movie, and it just hurts my feelings.
Oh, yeah, that part's amazing. But Zimmer's best work is with Gore Verbinski, so...
That 10-minute action scene where he breaks up the Lone Ranger theme is his best piece of music in anything, bar none.
Yeah, oh, it's wonderful.
I've gone back and listened to that by itself a bunch of times. I've played it for people that have never seen that movie.
The greatest thing to ever do is to drive on the highway really fast and blast that while you're driving. You feel like the most awesome person in the world.
So for the record...
Okay, everybody makes fun of her delivery there. His delivery is also as funny, and I don't think I've ever thought about it, because I've only seen this once.
That's what I was going to say, though, is that her delivery is bad there, and I just wanted to say for the record, I was just wondering how much of it for you was the accent. I'm not saying that in general I think she's a very good actress, and as I said when we did Wonder Woman, that's the only place where I've seen a decent performance from her. And I'm with you that a lot of it is just acting against Pine. Of course, he is here again, and it's not helping. But it's a different
I don't think he's giving a great performance. Like, I feel like he's like, yeah, this material kind of sucks this time around.
He's cashing in a paycheck this time.
Yeah.
I mean, writer, she's not terrible in that first scene she's in BVS, but it's not. It didn't impress me even then. I still felt like there wasn't enough going on behind her eyes. Like, I was really worried
I don't think
about...
she's good in BVS or the Snyder Cut either.
Yeah.
I mean, BVS, I guess at least there's very few moments where she's allowed to speak, so she has that going.
Austin.
I'm sorry, but like, she's not a good actress. Like, if she's just standing there, like, I don't know, she's not as bad, I guess. She doesn't have to be doing as much.
Why is it this long?
Why did they make the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark boring?
It should have 4 minutes of runtime left. Minerva's not even the cheetah yet. Somebody's gonna have to throw her out a higher window.
We're gonna need a higher window. This movie needs more walking, is what it needs.
I guess I'll give them that if we had to bring Chris Pine back. And actually, I'm wondering if the whole idea of the Wish Stone was just, like, how do we bring this character back? Because we don't think anybody will go to a Wonder Woman movie without this character. Like, Chris Pine has to be in it. So they build the entire villain plot around the plot device to bring him back to life. Like, I'm wondering that. But also, if you had to do it, I guess at least he's not a temporary hallucination. Because that's a thing we do a lot. Like the whole movie, he would like show up to give her advice, and they would like talk to each other, and then you'd have supporting characters go, "Oh, who you're talking to?" Like, I guess I'm glad we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's at least something.
But given
I
that,
also just had a thought, which is,
but given that she is violating this other guy to make this happen, I don't think this is any better than much better than that. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say we should also mention like, when this comes out, this is like so tied into that like awful Imagine video she made, where like a bunch of the cast from this movie is in that because they were clearly, she called in favors from that.
Oh, I forgot all
So
about
it's like
that.
they are kind of like weirdly associated to a degree.
Yeah, weird.
At least for me.
Weird. I didn't think of that. I just heard about that. I never actually looked at it.
Every now and then I go back to it and I'm like, this makes me happy. It reminds me of that moment when we just kind of all came together to reject that. And it was like that was a happy moment.
I was gonna say, didn't that just massively backfire?
Yes, because it was super tone deaf.
I was gonna say, didn't it just seem like entitled, famous, rich people not really knowing how to respond to the public?
Yeah, because we were in lockdown for like a week, and then like a bunch of celebrities were like melting down about not being the center of attention. There's a lot of weird stuff like that.
The Galaxy Records is comic book, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one of the big things I remember celebrities doing during COVID was very explicitly making it clear just how impressively expensive their homes were in filming like TikTok and Twitter videos with like wide camera angles to show like spiral staircases and like lofty water fountains and
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it sucks being stuck in my house."
yeah, there was a lot of that going on. And then you've got people in, one bedroom apartments and duplexes going, "Cry me a friggin' river."
Harry Potter living under the stairs. He has to look at that and be like, "Ah, you don't know what I experience."
I'm like, no, white wall, okay? Leo, Austin, tell us how you really feel about Gal Gadot.
I mean, I don't hate Gal Gadot as a person. Like, I don't know Gal Gadot as a person.
You
I just said,
clearly
like, I
know.
do associate that video with this movie because, like I said, a lot of the cast from it are there. And they were the same year. Like, they were only months apart.
Oh yes, that's what I'm thinking about, and I'm sure that's where this came from. They probably just kind of appropriated it. But Galaxy Communications is a Superman thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like a medium empire with like TV news and stuff. And if memory serves, I think there's a place or two where like Jimmy Olsen works there.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I think they used that in Supergirl also, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny that Minerva's already kind of had this visual transformation and nobody is noticing it. Like somebody should go, "Are you evil now?" Because you look maybe kind of evil now.
You are literally dressed like Cruella de Vil. Are you feeling okay?
Everything all right? Because you look like you're having a midlife crisis. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you look like you stole 101 cats to make that coat.
No.
No, I don't want to. Have you ever seen that movie, Cap, Seven Psychopaths?
No, I haven't.
That's one of Walken's like best moments where they're like, "Hey, stop," and he's like, "No." And they're like,
That's
"Why?" And he's
that's
like,
true.
"I
Wishes
don't
have
want
been
to."
made. I'm a broken record, Austin. How is this the plot of this movie?
Adam March just popped in the chat and said, "How is this movie 2.5 hours?"
How's it? I know, and this is the plot we went with.
Oh my god, there's still an hour left.
Yeah, I I cannot stand the accent he's doing.
I don't even know if he's really putting on an accent. I
He
feel like that's just his voice.
No, he's
Is he
totally
putting
putting
on
on.
like a slight
Yes,
accent?
yes.
Okay.
He's doing an obnoxious cartoony thing. I realize Pedro Pascal
I feel like he's just kind
has a
of
bit of
going
an
like
accent.
grand, like yeah.
He's
Before like I was thinking of it as an accent.
he's laying it on. I mean, like call me semi bigoted or something with this. He's putting on I think he's flaunting it to the point where now it's irritating. Like I don't think that's how he
Mhm.
usually talks.
Well, yeah, like I said, this was kind of the
It's
move where
just
I
so
go like,
cartoony.
oh, Pedro Pascal isn't like inherently good in everything he's in, because I kind of had that before this, where I'm like, oh, I like this guy and everything he shows up in,
Well, don't get
and
me
then
wrong.
with
I
this one,
think
I'm
he's a
like,
good
oh,
actor. I do think he's getting really
yeah.
overused right now. I mean, I agree with people with that.
Well, I just feel like he's getting miscast a lot too, but no, with this, I feel like he's just going for something. It's just not landing.
Well, I don't like it when we latch onto an actor and we decide that he's safe. So it's like we've got to keep casting him in things because, like, we can kind of guarantee people will see it and kind of guarantee box office with it when there might have
Mhm.
been a better choice. And that's different than star vehicle. That's the thing is he's not even really getting star vehicles. That's happening a lot when he is part of an ensemble. It's weird.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think you should say that out loud. Like maybe in the 80s, fewer people would think about it the way we would now, but like he needs to touch a lot of people at the same time. He said that.
No, he's inspired by Wonder Woman. He wants to be like her.
Adam March, I will now call Captain Logan by his new assumed identity. Semi bigoted.
Well, that's your like Marvel adjective above your name. The semi-bigoted Captain Logan.
Hot soup, and now he won't go away. You'd think he's the only actor left.
He is.
And just because of my personal sensibilities, I don't have this. I'm not quite in the same place with him as I am with Patton Oswalt, but
Oh yeah, I don't have that. Like with FF, I'm like, I wish he wasn't Reed, but it's more of just I'm like, oh yeah, he's like miscast, and I feel like he was only cast because he's like the guy now. It's like that's where it
yeah.
becomes like I'm kind of getting annoyed at seeing you everywhere.
But I
With
mean,
Patton
I'm
Oswalt, I'm
also
just
not.
like, oh, you're just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I'm also not going to fault the man for taking jobs.
No, I won't either.
You know, I'm kind of
Uh,
complaining more about
it's
studio
more at
execs and
Marvel where I'm
in
like, I feel like you could
casting.
have cast somebody better.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he could, win us over on it.
Maybe I hope he will, because I'm a little worried about that movie, but there's a lot of things that look excellent about it, and then there's some things that don't. And so I don't know. I'm not letting myself
Mhm.
at all get my hopes up with it, Austin,
Yeah,
because
no, that is a
it
movie
could
I'm
turn
only
out
gonna see so that
real
we can do
rough.
our MCU ranking. Like, I probably won't even see it opening weekend. I don't care enough.
Wow.
But I'll watch it so that we can do our video because we talked about it and not make you wait like 5 months for it to come to digital. But
It won't take that long, but
yeah,
Austin, I've been
but I won't be in a rush. Like, I don't know that I really need to be in the spoiler cast for that.
wow. Okay.
But
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna make you or nothing, but I mean, I've been waiting for Galactus for 15 years, man. Like,
yeah, no, well, he will be the best part of that movie. Like Ralph Ineson's Galactus is like genius casting.
how's traffic? Look around.
Wish that there was no traffic. because I am the Wishman.
They should have called this Wonder Woman: If Wishes Were Horses. That's the other thing that's annoying about this to me.
That'd be a great subtitle.
That's the other thing that's annoying about this for me is this is the premise for or a similar premise to like a lot of episodes of genre shows where it's just somebody gets a wish stone or somebody gets like it's also the same thing as doing Fountain of Youth or something. It's like it's that thing that every franchise does, and it's your second movie, and it's a 2.5 hour movie. It's the whole movie.
Which it's you have a 22 episode season. You kind of just got to fill it.
Yeah, it's your underground fight club. It's your long lost evil twin. It's such a gimmicky premise.
Oh, we should have went with that one.
Yeah, and again, you can make anything work. If somebody had like a really cool fresh angle, I would be going. This should have been a crappy Saturday morning cartoon premise, but there was a spark, and you know what I mean. Like, I wouldn't be complaining about that if the story was good.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean that's what I have with the Marvels too, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, our main plot is whenever they use their powers simultaneously, they swap. It's like this is just kind of again nobody's favorite episode of a TV show.
It starts from
the Marvels is also better than this. I will give it that.
Yeah, and I mean I agree with that, but it starts from such an uninspired place that it's hard to imagine it would have led to an inspired story. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it oozes that.
So John Kelly just asked everybody in chat what their wish for the Dreamstone would be and like what their price would be. We should answer that too. What would you wish for, Cap, and what would the price be for it?
I don't know. I'll have to give that some thought. I don't immediately have a great answer. I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, this is a very serious, dramatic scene, Austin. I feel like I need to watch it.
Because Gal Gadot yelled.
I can't give you up. I'm in this very codependent relationship where for decades I couldn't even leave my house because you were dead.
And Chris Pine's like, please let me leave this movie.
He's like, I want to go back to heaven. It's like Buffy. They pulled him out of heaven.
It would be amazing if he popped in and he was like, I was actually in hell. I did some war crimes in the war. You just didn't see that.
I need you to figure this wish stone thing out.
Please don't send me back, Diana.
So yeah, I kind of forgot about the price thing. Is there a specific price linked to every wish? Like, is there a specific price for him? Or is it just...
Yeah, so hers is just that she's getting weaker. So it's not like anything specifically linked to it. It's just, well, Diana wished to have Steve back, so now her powers are weakening.
And that's how she... But the person that wishes has some toll that... Oh, and that's right, because they do that with Pedro Pascal, right? Where, like, he makes too many wishes and then he gets all messed up at the end somehow.
Yeah, right? His body's, like, deteriorating.
Oh, okay, so we do a little montage here flashing back, but we don't do another full-on flashback.
Well, this is Linda Carter.
So
this is where we're going back to her armor, yeah.
The armor, yeah. I mean,
which is kind of weird because it kind of plays like maybe obviously it's not canon 100%, but like you have a in the past Linda Carter came to Earth and she did her adventures with the suit, and now Diana has it.
Is that too gimmicky to you with that kind of stunt casting?
I don't know because like at the same time you could say like, oh, was something like the Gray Ghost thing too gimmicky?
Sure.
I don't know. I guess if done right, no.
That one
But
actually seems classier than some other things.
mhm.
That's maybe okay.
Also boo this movie for not having Ronald Reagan in it.
Yeah. And like it seems like they went for an intentional like not Ronald Reagan
Hmm.
or like
We
Ronald
needed him to
Reagan
be like,
ad-
well, what am I gonna
adjacent.
wish for? Well, I don't know what I would like to wish for, but I would like to make a wish wheel. That's his prices. He can't say well anymore. It's like removed from his dialogue, his vocabulary.
Yeah, his wish was the Star Wars program works out, and
Yes.
then he loses
You just have
well.
lasers shooting nukes in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, if this movie went to that place in the third act, instant 10 out of 10.
But no, I'm with you. It shouldn't have been generic dollar store Reagan. It should have been actual Reagan because if this is supposed to be about 80s materialism, which is kind of ironic because that's what 89 starts off as, and then it loses a lot of that in the final version. And this movie
Mhm.
is actually kind of full on about materialism and greed and people in this period going for uh, surface level things and not really caring of things of substance, and about how that ruins us beyond this. Like there are ideas here that you could have run with in a smarter script, certainly. But
Mhm.
it's weird to do that during this period and then not have actual Ronald Reagan.
When Ronald Reagan's super important to post-crisis DC, like he pops up a lot in those books.
Sure, there's that too. But why make it this actual specific date and not actually do that? Especially
Mhm.
because of, again, thematically what you're doing. Also, he's asking for nuclear weapons, so there's your Cold War stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, like I said, I thought there was a little bit of it, but it's not like we're
That's his wish.
um, doing a ton of it.
Oh, also, somebody asked me a show or two ago if a villain was a crypto freak. This villain is absolutely a crypto freak.
Oh yeah, see, this would be just an episode of Smallville.
Yes,
They have the Wishstone episode.
because it's not that far away from the persuasion crypto freaks. It reminds me of
When
that a
Clark
little
would
bit.
wish to be able to kiss Lana, and then his powers would weaken, and then by the end it would all be like undone.
I think my wish would be that Ghostbusters 2016 never happened.
Mhm. But then your price is that. What would be the price for that? Uh, Batman '89 gets deleted.
Oh, that's not a
There's no
trade off
more
I'm willing.
master copies of it.
That's not a trade off I'm willing to make.
Oh, he is doing the Star Wars program.
Yeah, it's really weird. So he is Ronald Reagan. He's just not called that.
Like you say, he's just kind of dollar store Ronald Reagan. They need to get like over the top with it. He needs
Or
to be like
is
how we do
he
Nixon in
or is he just
movies.
ambiguous and then never name him and maybe he is supposed to be Reagan? I mean, we're talking over this. I don't
It
remember.
could be he like vaguely has Reagan hair, but like that's kind of it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Stop dancing. I also think that the thing with Pascal, and I would have to go back and actually watch this closer because again we're talking over it. I think he's inconsistent in his accent, maybe.
Maybe.
But I have to go back and listen to it. now we got a shootout in the White House like at the beginning of X2.
That's true. And Chris Pine's going to use a sword, and Nightcrawler didn't use a sword, but that's like his thing.
I like her tiara sounds exactly like a batarang.
I keep mentioning weird sound effects, like just weird sound design with some of these things, like Aquaman's trident and Wonder Woman's lasso.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this action was okay, and then we had to get the obligatory slow motion, and now I'm not liking it as much. Whoosh! There's so much whoosh!
I also feel like Wonder Woman would still be able to fight better than she is, even though her powers are weakening, just based on the fact that she's trained all of her life to fight.
That's also a real typical sequel thing, and something that goes back to Lester Superman 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, because Superman, it makes sense when you do that for the first time.
What's that?
But like he loses his powers and suddenly he has like a harder time fighting because he's Superman. Like he doesn't really need to do this stuff. I feel like Wonder Woman wouldn't have that much.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying that it's very typical that the next thing you think of to do in your sequel is they're going to lose their powers this time. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of that until you said that.
Like Spider-Man 2.
Oh, there's another typical sequel kind of trap.
Sure, yeah. I mean, at least she's not quitting, I guess. Well, it's kind of the Wolverine in that way, right? Where she's just losing her powers and is more vulnerable on this adventure.
Yeah, that's right. We also got some different Wolverine things, even if they don't all feel like they're in the same continuity before we finally did that. With this, she's trying so hard not to make the same movie, she falls into some of the other big sequelitis things. So it's not a carbon copy thing. It's making some other mistakes because it's trying so hard to be a different thing. And that's the big difference between this and both Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2, where they fall more into at least Aquaman 2, into the, like, making the same movie again trap. At least to some degree. And this is more just like ripping off other sequels. And so you start to look a little formulaic in that way. So, like, yes, it's a very different movie than the first movie. It's also a very similar movie to, like, a bunch of other superhero sequels. And somewhat formulaic to, again, your Batman Forever and your Superman 2. And we're even in the White House, which is an intentional choice in aping Superman 2, in aping Lester. There's no way around that.
I see you're, preordained to worship things that wish.
Okay, great. Oh my god, I forgot Cheetah was in this. This movie is so long!
I mean, why would one of Wonder Woman's 3 main villains have a big, important role to this movie? She's the heavy.
Yeah, she shouldn't be remotely surprised that she's fighting Maneuver right now.
You want religion? Or sorry, I messed up the line already.
God, I want you to kill Wonder Woman.
You want religion? Become a cat.
Again, I haven't seen this in a long time. I remember having issues with this relationship, and I can't remember if it was that I thought it was too much of a, like, easy misunderstanding, or if I thought that Diana made kind of some stupid choices in turning Minerva against her too easily. Something about it seemed really contrived to me. And it's just been too long, I don't remember now.
Yeah, it's just she doesn't want to be powerless anymore, so now she wants to help Maxwell Lord.
Yeah,
Diana's going to be doing a lot of that later on in the movie. The like exact pose she's in.
yeah.
She's going to be doing that through the whole third act.
But she's looking at but she's mad at Diana for being like dismissive and condescending and not believing in her in the first place. And I remember having some issue with that, and I don't remember what it is now. Stop talking.
You just became me, Cap.
Yeah, but it's not even the performance, it's just so many words.
Slip maker later on in the movie. Oh god, there's more. Yes, we still have 40 minutes left.
Now, I won't talk about this too much. I'm also going to be the pot calling the kettle because my stuff tends to be really dialogue driven, and people might watch my movie and go, "Why are there so many words?" But case by case, hopefully that's not too
Well,
much.
there's also just that weird section where Brandon becomes a cat, and like I don't know, you could have cut that. You didn't need 40 minutes dedicated to Brandon becoming a cat.
Well, there's this part where Brandon all of a sudden sprouts this like crazy wild gray hair, and he's got these like black shadows under his eyes, but nobody notices that he's turned evil.
That's true. She's even doing evil makeup now.
Yeah, and that's like a TV trope.
Yes.
There's a lot of
24 villain.
Brayden Atkinson, so you're saying it's going snut movie.
That is true. Like the snut, it is ridiculously long.
Yeah, why do we have to do these back to back? I mean, at least it's not the same night, but like tomorrow we have to do another movie that's just insanely long.
Yep.
I mean, I will say it's better than this movie, but still.
But they are both TV episode plots.
You think?
Yes. That's just your pilot. This is just an episode nobody cares
about. That's true. That is very piloty. I always need you to remind me what the plot of that movie is even supposed to be, because I'm always just kind of latching on to character introductions and stuff. Like, it's so cookie cutter, I'm not even thinking about the story in that.
Because broad strokes, it is the same plot as the theatrical cut.
Yeah, we get it. It's about greed. See,
the end is nigh.
Somebody has to come in and tell us what every thematic idea is about multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no subtext. We're not allowed to, like, read anything ourselves. Analyzing a movie like this is obnoxious, because, again, it is like analyzing a Saturday morning cartoon. It's got this clear PSA message that's just, like, constantly... I don't like that every idea, like, where I could just throw a word at it, the word shows up. You know? Truth, greed. Like, what's your movie about? It's about truth. It's about greed. You know how I know? Well, not because I watched the story. It's because a character says these words like 100,000 times.
As Slipmaker says, I'm a cozy little cinnamon bun in bed. I can escape the last 40 minutes by just falling asleep.
I mean, you could turn
Nicholas
it off.
Bodo says,
no one's stopping you.
Yeah.
Like...
And Nicholas Bodo says, so this is a big budget after school special? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I still say it's Saturday morning before it's after school special.
I think it could be the same thing. It can be a cartoon special that's after school.
Well, the difference is I think it's heavy-handed in the way a lot of cartoons are when like from this period where they'll get to the end and a character will just say, so this is what you were supposed to get out of this. Whereas After School Special is more like, well, I mean, I guess it's that too, because that'll be like for a slightly older age group and will be like sappy piano music, people through the whole thing making the same case over and over again. I guess this does do that. Because I am complaining that we're getting the same thematic words over and over again throughout the movie. So yes, it's both.
Mm-hmm.
This is the actual plot is more of a cartoon plot. Also, she is so much less sympathetic to me in this movie than she is in the first. Like, even ignore your issues with whether or not it makes sense that she's killing some of the people she's killing in that movie. With this, it kind of gets back to the Superman problem of, like, she's so obsessed with this one person. Like, it feels like that's all she ever cared about. I hate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just already built into the first one for me. It's like that is just kind of the take on the entire Trinity.
And I don't agree with that.
But we're doubling down on it.
I don't agree with
she
that.
She leaves the world because like the one guy she liked died.
Yeah, but we're told that later. That doesn't happen in the movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're still getting flashes of that, though.
What do you mean?
Like, by the end of that movie, like, we still have to go into what that, what her status quo is. And we're bookended with it, with her in modern day.
Yeah, I mean, does the movie come out and again, we've talked about this some, like, they're also just saddled with Snyder having her in hiding, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot they did the flying thing.
Yeah. There's also going to be that really funny moment where she just stops flying for a second to swing off lightning, just to have a moment.
But at least within, I mean, yeah, you're making a fair argument, Austin, but at least within the bulk of that story, she's finding things to be interested in man's world that aren't just that one guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I just don't think we do enough of that.
Yeah,
and whenever we do, it's real. Like, okay, we don't have time to actually stop for this. Like, keep moving.
Yeah, but compared to Superman, I mean, there's none of it in that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think it's like that much better just because they like bare bones it. Like, I just think they're both bad.
I'm gonna stick to this. I think there's a pretty big difference. But
fair enough. Like I said, there's too much Snyder in all three of the main Trinity. He had like one idea.
That's a great plan. That's great. You got this all figured out.
He does. That's true. Okay, great. It's weird that she learns to fly now, and then she's gonna put on the wings later.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot the apex predator thing. Why does she have to say that? It's not chronicled.
Are cheetahs even an apex predator?
I don't know. I would have to look that up. I don't know if that counts.
I'm googling it. I don't know offhand. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that accent seems thicker right now than it did earlier.
They are apex predators. There you go.
Writer John Peters wrote that and mandated it. Discussing topics, and she doesn't fly in the present day. Yeah, I don't really understand that. Is this
Oh, because
trying
they
to?
don't care about that
Is
anymore.
this? Yeah, I was gonna say, is this trying to kind of soft reboot, like away from that, where now it's sort of its own thing? We really
Yes.
don't have a continuity at this point at all. Hi, Max Lord. I am Max Lord, and I am an alcoholic. Hi, Max Lord.
They're gonna say, "Hi, Max Lord. I'm Batman."
There's there's a new villain in town. He's called Max Lord.
He's ignoring his son. That means it's okay for him to take over the world.
One thing this is also an inherent metaphor for, and I don't know if they're thinking about this, but in the period we're in, like part of 80s materialism is duping people into getting into debt in order to have things they can't afford, which of course our country and a lot of the world has never learned to get away from and has only gotten worse. Um, but the like make a wish and then you're gonna pay for it and you don't know how and you'll just like put that off and hope it's not too terrible. That's like buy now, pay later. Like that's an inherent metaphor for credit card debt.
Yeah, for sure. You know what this movie needs, Cap?
Yeah, what's up?
Uh, Wonder Woman taking over the Statue of Liberty while fun music plays to get everybody united together.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is her second movie. This would be the place to do it. That would go right
Exactly.
alongside the White House. You know, we do the White House and the Statue of Liberty in the same movie. That'd be great. That'd be
Exactly.
great. Also, why is he in Cerebro?
Well, because the president famously has Cerebro.
Oh. Okay, great. I don't think she flies in the snot. No.
Yeah, I don't. Me? I don't think so.
John Kelly, I can't
I'm
believe
thinking
I'm
like the main team shot, but I don't think she does.
John Kelly, I can't believe I'm eating a Little Caesars Fantastic Four pizza while watching this with you guys. I can't believe you're watching this.
I wish I had a Little Caesars Fantastic Four pizza right now.
A Little Caesars Fantastic Four pizza. I didn't even get a Little Caesars coupon when I opened this.
Yes. And then
Should
you
have gotten
order it and
that.
see how long it takes during this mania. I guess we're gonna. I keep feeling she's going straight to the Lord, but I guess she's got to stop to pick up that armor first. Are we just gonna cut to her having it now?
Like, Maxwell Lord started off
Oh,
as
we're just cutting to her having it now.
seeming like a really over the top comedic kind of dumb villain. And now I can't decide if we're supposed to kind of feel for him for how much he's lost himself.
Hmm.
And like he was trying to live up to his father earlier, and so that could give him
We
some sort of
definitely do by
pathos.
how it ends with him. We are supposed to feel bad that he's lost his way.
I feel like it, and I remember this in the theater that like it ends on such a different place from where it starts. It's like it can't decide what it wants to be and who exactly it's for.
Hmm. I remember Cheetah looking wonky. Ugh.
Maybe what Jenkins was thinking was not just uh not just looking like an exaggerated 80s comedy, but like 80s with rose tinted glasses, and then you take the 80s materialism too far and you end up with this like real sad, pathetic, screwed up dystopian 80s. Maybe that's what she's thinking. And so she thinks she can create this juxtaposition going from comedy to dark drama at the end. That, like, I don't think it works at all, but maybe that's what she's thinking. Maybe it's all about a contrast.
Yeah, that could be it. And now you have like everybody's getting what they want and everything sucks.
Yeah, like everybody gets what they want, but nobody's happy. Because and this is true. And by the way, there is a lot of truth in the clear morals in this. I mean, besides the violating the guy to bring Steve Trevor back. I mean, there's certainly some real morality in this movie, but it's all pretty surface and obvious. Like, it's nothing we've not seen before in children's things, even.
Mm-hmm. No, it takes me back. In school, we had a musician come in. He went to different schools, and each school had to write a song about a different ism. In my school, in my class, we had to do classes. It brings me back to that.
Okay, I know I keep harping on this, Austin, but I'm going to say it a different way. Everyone in this movie speaks in movie poster quotes. Nothing good comes from lies. Like, you can see that on the poster.
Mm-hmm. That's a great poster line.
No, I mean, it would be awful, but you could see it. Like,
no, Cap, it's a great one. Just like it's a great line of dialogue.
Nicholas Bodo.
My favorite thing about this sequence, though, is how well it is to see.
Say again.
No, I just said my favorite thing about this fight scene is like how well lit and easy to see it is.
I remember being baffled by this in the theater. It is looking like that Electro fight in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
But I think it's only this dark because they're not confident in making Cheetah look good. That's kind of how I've always felt about it. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely right about that. And I mean, she looks horrible and would look a lot worse if we could see her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right.
Well, the big thing this has going for it is that this comes out after Cats, so like already it looks better than that. But
yeah,
it still looks pretty rough.
It's not saying a lot. Why are we doing that right now?
Because she's cool.
So
and in their defense, Cheetah might be a hard character to translate in live action. I don't know.
I would start with a different color scheme.
Yeah, I feel like she should be brighter.
Is Wonder Woman electrocuting her to death right now?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah. She doesn't feel electrocuted, though. She's cool.
That was the only way to stop this problem.
Well, you know what happens when a cat gets electrocuted in water, Cap?
No, what?
Well, you just saw.
Oh, okay.
So I subverted it. I didn't say what you thought I was going to say.
The only solution to this problem... Yeah, well played. I was wondering what you would do with that. The only solution to this problem is toaster in a bathtub.
Why are they in like a Star Wars hologram room?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I feel like the Emperor's gonna pop in and be like, "Good Diana, wish for something."
You know what? It's also Batman Forever in that she's got this ridiculous kind of prototype costume at the end. I mean, it's not really a prototype.
Yeah.
But
it's the toy costume at the end.
We want what we want.
Just like you did.
No, he's real far gone because it's obvious this isn't going to work out. I remember this from the theater too. That like this scene is weirdly mic'd.
Oh, I remember you telling me something about that at the time, but I don't remember having that issue.
See if I still have the.
Yeah.
I seem to recall her having this big speech that was kind of hard to hear, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
She does have a big speech, yeah.
But yeah, this just doesn't remotely earn how long all of this is, but especially this climax. And I guess
No,
the
I
idea
feel
is
like
like,
Cheetah is only here because this isn't an action climax, and they were like, well, you have to have action in the third act.
yeah.
It's a superhero movie. Join me, and we will wish together, Diane.
Well, and I also think it's kind of like the first movie where they're going to have this godlike male villain, and they feel like because it's a female-led superhero movie, they also need a female villain in there somehow. Because they
Possibly.
both do that.
What also just feels like, well, we're not really doing a Wonder Woman villain, so we have to put a Wonder Woman villain in,
Yep.
and people just want Cheetah because she's the one that everybody knows. So she has to be here.
Look, Austin, she's learned her really obvious lesson that went the only way it possibly could have.
I mean,
And
she could have just continued to sexually assault that man. We don't know. We don't know her morals.
and she and she gets to there before the third act starts.
Hmm. And imagine no possessions. It's easy if you try.
So what exactly did Minerva wish for?
Originally, it was to be like Diana, and then it was to become an apex predator.
Because I was gonna say the other reason you do her, I guess, is so that you can kind of have your like evil anti Wonder Woman, in a way.
Hmm.
Because it sort of starts from that place, I guess. Wow, look at that sweater. That's a very 80s sweater.
Look at this Ayatollah.
RJ Godzilla. It's funny how Superman snaps Zod's neck, and we use a villain who is only tied to Wonder Woman because she snapped his neck in the comics.
That's kind of funny, yeah.
She's still talking.
Yes. Was because this is important.
Oh, look, we're understanding his tragic background and motivations, Austin.
When is Wonder Woman specifically showing him this? Because that's what I think is happening.
I'm pretty sure this is just for the audience's benefit.
Well, because he's reacting to it, and that is a thing that the lasso can do.
It's really hard to tell if he's reacting to what we're seeing right now or if he's reacting to
Just the
not
speech of it
not
all.
yeah, or just like all the payment he's having to make right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I'm also not sure this doesn't kind of work itself out without her. he
I
wouldn't
don't
be
know
able
that it
to.
does because you need everyone to simultaneously renounce their wish
Oh,
for
I guess
this to
there's
end.
that. Yeah. Would this not just kill him at some point?
I don't think so
Maybe
because
not.
he's simultaneously. What he says is that he gains power from like every wish, so he uses some of that power to grant it, and then some of it to like improve
Okay, so
himself to
yeah,
keep
here's your
himself from
Cold
dying.
War right here. They're about to recreate the Cuban Missile Crisis. I forgot about that.
Hmm.
But yeah, she had a line just now that made it pretty clear it was what you were saying.
Hmm.
She was probably showing him that. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, and that's where you're like they're taking stuff from how she deals with Ares in that comic that they cut from the first movie.
Oh, okay.
But they also ruined that, so what can you do?
Bob wants to know how long this movie is. I mean, it feels like 5 hours.
It's just kind of endless. You know, BVS gave us a world without Superman. The script gave us a world without structure. Just keep letting that script go and go and go.
It's so melodramatic. Well, and it's funny because I don't even think structure is the problem with this movie. I think it's just so stretched out.
Yeah, no, that's probably not the best way to
Like
say
a
it,
lot of the
but
DCU movies do have major structural problems. If you
mm,
if you break this down to its brass tacks, like it's not any more structurally weird again than a Batman Forever or a Batman Roberts. I don't even think it's
yeah.
as uh like badly organized as Amazing 2. I think that's much more of a mess than this movie.
Hmm.
I just don't
Um,
care is a lot of it. And there are whole elements you could just strip out of it.
mhm. Yeah, definitely. Braden Atkinson asks what I would want from a Wonder Woman movie. Um, Basically like a modern day like Clash of the Titans, just like a fantasy adventure movie with a lot of like mythological creatures and whatnot. And like I know at least for the DCEU like rebooting now, I would like to see Cersei as the main villain. But just like go hardcore into the fantasy.
So, Austin, I know you and I are just never going to agree on Wonder Woman. And I know I see this character
Yeah.
completely differently than you do. So, I don't mean to contradict you at every turn. But as fun as that all sounds, all I want from a Wonder Woman movie is she's working at a Taco Bell.
Well, that's your third movie.
Okay, all right, cool. So you and
No,
I
and
could both have our tacos and eat it too, is what you're saying.
exactly. No,
Okay.
and I'd also like to see the Wonder Woman that
No, I'm with you.
as we move forward,
Full on Greek mythology.
in a DC world, I would love to see the one that's more of a uh, not so much like a celebrity, but like a person of note that like goes around talking. She's very like kind of like Mother Teresa, I guess, in that way, where
Oh
like she
sure.
can go to the UN and talk and like preach
You
all
want
of her ideals and whatnot. Like I would like to see that too. That element of the character
no
really
a diplomatic
brought into
Wonder Woman
focus too.
would be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Diplomatic Wonder Woman. Because that's what she is. Like at the end of the day, like coming from Themyscira.
See, there's just nothing to analyze here. He's a messed up loser guy. I mean, I can't argue with
He's a loser, baby. So why didn't Wonder Woman kill him?
that. No, what you're describing sounds really cool. I mean, I said this on one of these. Maybe it was the Wonder Woman comment theory. But like that's why I always wanted to see back in the '90s Lucy Lawless play it because
Sure.
for me a good Wonder Woman movie would basically be a less cheesy Xena.
Hmm.
And
And like I said, is she?
without the, she used to be a warlord that murdered innocent people backstory. Without that part. But I mean, when you ignore that, Xena is basically Wonder Woman in like actual Greek mythology.
Now you can have her as Hippolyta. I don't know, is she too old for that now, or is that still a fine casting?
For what?
A Hippolyta.
Um, I think she might be a little too old now. We had this conversation before. 10 years ago, she would have been perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit in the first one because you mentioned that too.
Yeah, it's sad. And again, I just want somebody with that kind of build. Like I still say, for like, acting aside, Gal Gadot is too small for this character.
Sure.
And why, when she was first cast, of course, I had never seen her in anything. I didn't know anything about her, and I was like, why do we have this petite, relatively petite looking Wonder Woman? I'm not saying she's super small, but she feels that way compared to the iconic larger than life image that I have for Wonder Woman. The first place, maybe I've said this before, the first place you look for Wonder Woman is stunt women. You start what's the word I'm looking for? You bring in stunt women and see who can act.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I do think you could just have, a woman just bulk up as well. But I think in
There's
that
just
George Miller Justice League movie, she was a stunt woman. But
there's
it's
such a
been so long.
specific body type that very few actresses have.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm fine with losing that as long as we have somebody that can embody the role. Like my worry with that is just we had Wonder Woman who was a model and actress. Like I'm just worried that you would get kind of the same thing where I'm like I just want a person that's really good at acting. But I mean, you can also find uh, stunt actresses
Well,
that
that's what I'm
can
saying.
act really well. Like it's
You
not
odd,
like that
but
writes
that's what
them
I meant
out.
is you audition who's out there, and then if you can't find anybody that's a great actress, then you go somewhere else. But I'm just saying, if it were me, I would kind of start there
Hmm.
because there have been some really good stunt women that could act and just couldn't get acting roles, so that's all they did.
Hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Also, when we reboot for the DCU, no more stupid Wonder Woman skirt.
I agree.
We still can't get past that in the comics.
I can never tell if this movie is supposed to be called Wonder Woman 1984 or Wonder Woman 84 because the abbreviation is WW84. And so for a long time, I could not remember if 19 was actually
I
in
have
the
the same
title,
thing. I
and it
always
is.
forget if it's actually
It in
1984 or if it's just
fact
84.
is.
Well, I feel like everybody calls it Wonder Woman 84 too.
Yeah, and I guess it's just the abbreviation. It's not really called that.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
Tyler Ziaz, what's wrong with the skirt? Because it's different. I don't like things that are different.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Wonder Woman with the skirt. Like with the skirt with Supergirl is great, but like I prefer just the traditional Wonder Woman costume.
Wonder Woman,
I
for
guess that's like a
me,
trunks or no trunks kind of thing.
yeah,
Like it's just
the Trinity in DC all more or less got their suits right in the first place, and there's like little tweaks you make, but more or less, we always go back to the originals. Uh, Supergirl is a character with like 15 really good costumes.
there's Linda Carter,
Yeah,
who still looks like really great for her age.
it is kind of weird to respond to you have a great name with it comes from my culture because like that's true for most people. I would say.
Plushie DX, ironic, the original had the skirt. No, the original has really baggy shorts. A lot of
Yeah.
people make that mistake. She actually does not have a skirt originally. I forget what they're called. There's like a specific name for them, but they are just really baggy shorts.
Does that feel to you like a compromise where somebody thought, oh, she looks too like overtly sexualized without some kind of pants or a skirt? Because we did kind of overcompensate with not in New 52 and give her pants, and I always hated that.
I don't know. Like, I feel like they were just trying to do like, because it's like a battle skirt thing. Like, I think they were more so just thinking about that. Like, how do you make it look more like armor?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the Superman or like Batman costumes where I'm like, I don't really need it to be armory.
No, I agree with that. I mean, they actually might have been looking at Xena with it because she has a skirt like that.
Hmm. Yeah, very true. And I feel like they just kind of went, oh, okay, this is what she would wear for like the culture. So I guess like in that way, like it is cool. I'm not a big fan of just it as a design, but that's more of like
Well, it
I
comes
like
from
the
her
classic
culture,
designs
Austin.
of the characters. Well, exactly. It's like her name.
it, comes, it comes from my culture. Does anybody else think that's a dumb line?
I That's never jumped out to me, but now that you said it, yes, that is a dumb line.
You have a lovely name. Thank you. It's from my culture.
What a lovely, lovely name. Thank you. It's from my culture.
Please don't destroy the football field where I'm standing now.
Well, it's also funny that Linda Carter is the only Themyscira and did not have the accent, and only because it's Linda Carter.
Tyler says, I don't think the new 52 pants ever stuck. No, and they tried them in the crappy live action pilot, and they looked like they
Oh
were
yeah,
made of plastic, and they looked like they came from a party city, and it was painful.
and they never darkened them in post because it didn't get finished.
Yup.
That's my favorite thing in that pilot is just when it just says darkened pants.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's got like the notes on the screen here and there for what to do in post production.
It's awesome.
It's darkened pants. That's so funny.
I'm so glad that didn't go to series for lots of reasons, but Adrian Palacki may
I've still never
gotten
seen it in full. Like I've seen pieces.
Yeah,
I've heard it. I mean, I've seen parts of it, like I said, and it's pretty rough. But it's also
so
been a
awful.
while.
It's a it's super convoluted, but it's also weirdly cynical, and Wonder Woman kind of tortures people, and yeah, it's very strange.
Very unfortunate.
Tyler, I don't think the new 52 pants even made it to print. I think it was just promotional material. Is that true? Maybe that's true. I mean, I do think if they used them, they got away from them after a bit. Like, you're right about that. But I thought they were there for a minute. But
well, she's got pants in the JMS run. Is that maybe what you're thinking of? That's a bit before New 52.
Everything runs together for me.
If I remember correctly, you might just be like, yeah, it might just be running together. That's where she's got like a leather jacket and jeans.
I think 17% of what I said tonight was probably accurate. So
that's your price for your wish cap.
just accuracy, just my memory shot. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Not especially accurate on anything.
Okay, look, Ghostbusters 2016 can be taken out of history. I didn't even explain why I want that gone. I'm not going to. But yeah, so like Ghostbusters 2016 can be out of history, but you're gonna have to lose all your credibility. You have no more credibility.
What's like you said, you're like 17% accurate. So you're like Ghostbusters 2016 doesn't exist anymore, but you'll also be like Ghostbusters 2 is my favorite movie of 1903. Yeah, it was directed by Tim Burton.
Wow. How different the world would have been.
Very different. Ghostbusters 2016 doesn't exist. Which has major ramifications, of course.
Tyler, everybody's talking about the pants thing. I wish I'd never brought this up. I don't think she has the pants in Justice League Origin, and she doesn't have them in her first issue. And Captain Coon,
I think she has a skirt.
and
there,
Captain Coon
too.
says the Wonder Woman pilot was done before New 52. Yeah, I'm probably thinking of something before that. She had that somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the JMS run.
Probably
Which would have been before.
I mean, I know I didn't like most of the costumes in 52, so I was probably just lumping all that together because she still got like the stupid lines on it, and like everybody had those, and that was annoying.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this costume is like looking at the New 52 suit, so it's not far off from this. It's a little different.
There's exactly one new costume that I loved in New 52, and a lot of people aren't even with me on it, and that's Supergirl. I really like that suit, even though it does have some lines in it. But
it's got a couple of lines, but
like I like that logo. The pantsless look with that I thought was really cool. But
the best design in New 52 is Lobo, where we have sexy Lobo, and he kills original Lobo because he's like, "I'm the real Lobo."
Yeah, dollar store Lobo kills real Lobo and calls himself the real Lobo. Is everybody following
it's wonderful.
This? Yeah, that's what happened. Leo, I know one of them wears pants in the Injustice games. Oh, I forgot about that. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, she does. Well, I don't remember her design in 2 offhand, but I know she does in the first game. That's right.
Well, Austin, thanks for sitting through this with me again.
I was going to say you're welcome, but then I was like, do I want to say that?
So, did this have a mix of both of those things where it was boring and hard to get through?
Yeah, well, what we were missing is Robert passionately defending why this is good. That would have gotten us through. Without that...
Does he like this movie?
I just felt... no, I'm just talking about, like, as opposed to when we watched the first movie.
Oh, I see.
Like,
I see.
I still don't know if I can say that I like this that much more or less than the first movie, but I was also more distracted when we did that movie, so I had a better viewing because of that.
You were distracted because you had this crazy person acting like it was the best thing ever.
Exactly.
And you also had me liking it more than you, but
sitting on the fence, being like, I don't know, I feel neutral.
Like I still like that movie. Robert was still on more of a high with it than I'm on anymore. I think.
Mm-hmm. Robert needed to be here and be like, look, the Wish Stone is great. I think it's a great choice.
Yes, what I'm saying is Robert is high. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Robert's actually going to be with us quite a bit this week. He's gonna join us on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday now. Because Austin can't make it for Friday, so I invited Robert to come back and help me out with that show. And he may not be there for the first movie, but he is going to come for Aquaman 2 as we wrap this up. And Jason's going to be here for at least part of Friday. Tomorrow night we're doing the Snyder Cut. Jason really wanted to be there for that. I don't know if he'll make it for all 4 hours of it, but he's going to try. And then this is all running together. Is it Wednesday that has Flash, or is it Thursday?
That's Thursday. Wednesday is the Suicide Squad and Black Adam.
That's right. And Robert wanted to be on that one too, so we'll have him for those 3 days. And then John's going to come in tomorrow night for the Snyder Cut. So we'll have, I guess, all the guests you saw last week on different days.
Yeah,
and actually some of the same days, because we had John for Tuesday last week too, and I think we had Robert for Wednesday. So
yeah.
That's kind of funny.
There you go.
it just kind of worked out that way. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, great. I said it wrong. Tomorrow night is The Snot, finally. Finally, The Snot. And I still can't decide if I'm going to put it in the title because I'm afraid nobody's going to know what the hell we're talking about. But I also hate that we don't have the shirts. Yeah.
That is unfortunate. We needed Snot shirts.
Snot shirts. I just didn't have time to get it together, Austin. I didn't get my snot together, and it's really It's really unfortunate. Stone Gasman, $10 super chat. Thanks, man. Thank you for mentioning Cloak and Dagger earlier. My very first request. Yeah, he's the reason I know what that is. Finally got to meet Henry Thomas in April and told him how much I adore it. You need to see it, Austin. I don't know how you'll feel about that, but it's an interesting look back at that period, certainly.
Yeah, let's check that out. Henry Thomas, that's the kid from E.T., right? Is that, or am I thinking of a different person?
Oh, sorry, you were talking to him and not me. But yes, I'm pretty sure that's who that is.
Oh, okay. I was vaguely speaking out loud. I figured he couldn't answer me. You could, but that's what I get.
I'm just messing with you. All right, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. And I guess the best thing that came out of this is we got to see what the discs look like in my shrink-wrapped double disc Wonder Woman 1984. Wait, and once again, they go with, like, the really generic font on the box, Austin.
Of course.
It's so boring. It's not even... They didn't even add any shadow or anything to the words to make them pop out of the front. What are they doing?
Who knows?
I'm very disappointed.
Who knows why madmen do what they do?
All right, thanks again, guys. We're going to get going, but we'll see you tomorrow night for the Snut. It's finally here. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin, the Day Ghost.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, folks.
Remember to embrace truth.
It's the most important thing. Okay. Okay, bye. Go eat tacos. See you later.